Blog Talk Radio.
Salam to Tenai Stalin. Shalom. Haverin. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Here at the Upper Room, Thursday podcast right
And
here.
when they would come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
Nahi Torel, Yisrael, Yasharal. Wake up, Yisrael. Here. The evening psalm. Beginning off here with the Hebrew, the evening psalm here on the dub by Johnny Osborne. Jehovah. Upper room of Zion. Yes,
Boker Yom Hamishe. It is the 5th day of the week, and we do have a Tehillim that is recited in the 5th day of the week, found in chapter 81. And again, it will be recited also in Hebrew. Let's begin. Ram Naldecha, Al Hagetit, La Asaf, Hanimut, Lelohim, Uze, Haru, Lelohe, Yaakov. Sou, Zenoa, Utnetot, Kino, Naim, El Navel. Tikou, Vachore, Shofa, Bakese, Leyo, Chage. Ki, Ho, La Yisrael, Hu, Mishpot, Lelohe, Yaakov. Edut, Bihosef, Sam, Bezit. Alwet, Mizraim, Sofat, Lo, Yadati, Eshma. Hasiroti, Misavel, Shiki, Kape, Midu, Taavona. Badara, Kawata, Va'achalve, Im, Basetet, Va'am, Echan, Alme, Emiva, Sela. Shema, Ame, Ve'eda, Ba, Yisrael, Im, Tishmale, Lo Yiye, Vu, El, Za, Vilo, Tishlachave, Leel, Necha. Anoche, Yahava, Elohe, Hama'al, Me'eret, Mizraim, Hachese, Va'amale. Velo Shama, Ame, Lakole, V'Yisrael, Lo Avale. Va'ashache, Vishveri, Leba, Yaku, V'Moazote. Lu, Ame, Shomea, Li, Yisrael, V'Rake, Yahaleko. Kimat, Oeve, Apnea, Vai, Zoe, Ashir, Yadit. Mazane, Yahava, Yaka Hashulo, Vihe, Eta, Lolam. Vaya Akile, Nehale, Cheta, Umize, Dovash, Asbeer.
Yes. Psalm 81. Here in the upper room.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication, with the women, and Mary the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren.
And here, the English KJV, King James Version right here, dub-wise. Evening Psalm.
Psalm 81. Sing aloud unto God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm, and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Psalm 81. Sing aloud unto God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm, and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel, and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots. Thou calledst in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee. O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange God be in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange God. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. My people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of it. So I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. I should soon have subdued their enemies, and turned my hand against their adversaries. The haters of the Lord should have submitted themselves unto him. Their times should have endured forever. He should have fed them also with the finest of the wheat, with honey out of the rock. Should I have satisfied, I have satisfied, I have satisfied, I have satisfied, I have satisfied.
Up the room, up the room, up the room, up, 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 up.
In the Christian tradition, based on Acts 1:13, the upper room was said to be the site of the Last Supper, i.e., the cenacle. But it was not the upper room found in Mark 14:15, and Luke 22:12 is the site of the Last Supper. However, the upper room in Zion, Acts 1 and 13, located on Mount Zion in the city of David, was the usual place where the apostles of Adonai Baruch stayed in Jerusalem. And according to the Rastafari Encyclopedia, based upon Acts 2 and 42, as it is written, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and breaking of bread and in prayers. It was thus the first church of the Nazarene, our black master and savior, Jesus Christ, and said by many to be the first Christian church.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes.
From the upper room is beyond, what they beyond, distinguishing the light seekers from the peon. Ron, say it on us, lay upon us, knowledge that is beyond. Old has
in Mount Zion, yeah, with King Alpha and Queen of Father and Mother of creation.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes.
from the upper room is beyond, what they beyond, distinguishing the light seekers from the peon. Ron, say it on us, lay upon us, knowledge that is beyond. Old has it been told since the days of old, and I sit watching the story unfold. Yeshua gave us the code, gave us the name, kept the Maui Haile Selassie, the first will reign, the opener of the book of the seven seals. It's time for the gathering. It's the matter, and no, not the Vatican. Christ in his kingly character, we on that again. I'ma keep speaking the scriptures until I'm out of wind. Built on the true foundation, there's no shaking. There's no need of you hating, stop hesitating. How many of you have been waiting? In the upper room, we meeting in the upper room of Zion.
These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary the mother of Jesus and with his brethren. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
The upper room. The upper room.
For this double course, sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong.
Look, a reason here on this double portion. So we double portion. Yes, I here for this double portion. Look, a reason here on this double portion. So we've completed and fulfilled the reading and the hearing of the reading for Matot. Matot, the Hebrew for tribes. So this double portion here is tribes and journeys, Matot and Masai. So here, just a quick review right here, as the brethren and the sisters and those who have the opportunity now to hear, hopefully catch on a replay, some very interesting points that often are overlooked because ones don't take the time to study. So here in I Fellowship, going over the readings and feedings, we begin to see the sense, the wisdom, right, the direction, instruction. So here it begins off on vows in the Matot reading. Vows, the vengeance on Midian, the cleansing from the battle, the dividing, the booty, the spoils of war, and the the land for the Reubenites and the Gadites, for the Reubenites and the Gadites. Now, as we just touched on briefly, with the Reubenites and the Gadites, or the B'nai Gad, we say as God. It's not like God because that's how it's said in the Hebrew, God. The English pronunciation is Gad, but really that's a weird vowel right there, but it's God, right? The children of Gad. Interesting, children of God is troop. God means troop. Gad means troop. And Reuben means Reu. See y'all, seen, sight, Reu. Speaking to a group of people, say Reu, Reu, Reu. You say Reu, Rastafari. See y'all, Rastafari. But in this sense of Reuben's name, Reu, see y'all. It's a command to a bunch of ones and ones, right? To see, to look, to see. Bane, a son. So in that section is interesting, but that section actually wraps around in the theme with the beginning of the reading. And the beginning of the reading is at Numbers chapter 30, verse 2, where the law of vows, Nedar, the Nedarim, the law of vows. If a man vow a vow to Jehovah, to he who be, to Hashem, to the name, or swear an oath to bind nafsho, to bind his soul, his psyche, to bind her with a bond. The soul is feminine. Also got to speak on like the divine feminine throughout the Hebrew scriptures. It gets lost in translation, and the calcified pineal gland people for 400 years, they obviously didn't see it. If they saw it, they ignored it. This is why some will say, oh, we always speak about the man, the male. Where's the female? Well, if you study, you find wisdom. Wisdom is she. Ha-Torah, the Torah is she. The soul is she in the energetic divine double helix, the male and the female, the polarity. But here it says, if a man vow a vow to Jehovah or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Now, when you go to verse 3, it says, if a woman also vow a vow to Jehovah and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth. As we go on, we find that the statute right here basically says says that, between a man and his wife and between the father and his daughter being yet in her youth. That's a clause right there, in her youth, right? In her father's house. So if she's in her youth, in her father's house, and her father hear her say something, by Jah, on Jah, I'm going to do this and that. The father hears it. Whenever he hears it, like whenever the husband hears it, right? If I hear my wife make a vow to Jah, right, to bind her soul, on the day I hear of it, say she did it yesterday, I hear it today, I say, no. Basically, I can disavow it. Now, of course, someone would say, oh, you see, that is sexist, and fire burn that. That's the Western Gentile frame of mind. Note this right here. When a man vows a vow, who can disavow the man's vow? According to Torah, according to Scripture, none. So that means if a man even presumptuously vows a vow, he got to pay, right? He got to pay, right? But now the grace here is that if a woman, when they say, well, women are more spiritual, or one may say, the feelings, emotion, one might say something, right? And it might really, like they say, your mouth may write a check, proverbially speaking, that, your blank can't cash. Right now, I point this out in the beginning right here of the Mטות reading to dove around to the fulfillment of the Mטות reading concerning the 6 and 7 aliyot, right, or the Torah portion 42 at chapter 32 concerning the children of Reuben and the children of Gad. Now, let's just go over it a little bit, because sometimes we might hear these things, and even I and the fellowship, from Shabua to Shabua, from Shana to Shana, from 7 to 7, the week to week, the Shabua, and Shabua Tov, here we're in a new Shabua, new 7, right? So Shabua Tov, Melkam, Ehud, blessed first day, the Yom HaRishon, right here for the Sunday service. We'll hear these things, and we might not pick up on it, and we might come across, you might hear a verse that, because of how it's translated, or how it sounds, or what it's saying, we're like, oh man, but don't really see the full context. So it's important that we begin to grow in grace and see the context of what's really being said right here. So we have the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half tribe of Manasseh. They chose their inheritance. Just outside the land. These are types of, some say, the world borderers. In other words, like in a New Testament Christian sense, to be the carnal, the fleshy Christians, the carnal-minded Christians. In other words, they don't go into, right? Like the Pharisees and the scribes and them that Jason had bunned out. He said that the Pharisees and the scribes, that they had the keys of the kingdom because they were the keepers of the Torah, of the scriptures, direction, instruction. In other words, like we have our Bibles, and now with technology, we can look things up in interlinear Bibles, and we can, if we're willing, we can study and grow and learn for I and I self. We have access to it. But in them days, because of the printing, the writing, people had to write out by hand on parchment or scrolls, these things, they were usually kept amongst the Levites and amongst the priests. So it was usually during the high holy days, where ones would, come up from wherever they were, to the holy place, wherever Jah said his name. And it's at those holy times that they were able to consult with the priests and the Levites, about things they had question on. I heard that Jah had said, did Jah say such and such? What does that mean? And the priests and the Levites could, give them the counsel and go through the scriptures, so forth and so on. So we have access to the scriptures, because of modern printing and technology, where we can read and study these things. So now concerning the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, they chose their inheritance just outside the land. It's like ones who, they have faith in Jah and God and the Messiah and the Bible, basically on what they have faith in, but they really don't go in. It's like when the Messiah said to the Pharisees and the scribes and those ones who had a responsibility, said that y'all have the keys of the kingdom. You'll have the scriptures. It's the keys of the kingdom, Jah, law, direction, instruction. But y'all don't go in. You don't go in, like you go to some of these churches. They'll take a verse here or there, like your sin will find you out. Right? I've heard that a lot, and I've heard that applied to a lot of different things. But until we start to study, we found the right context. The right context is in Numbers chapter 32, right? Verse 23. Interesting how those are mirror image 32, mirror image 23, 3, 2, 2, 3. Not making a big thing, but just observing. Here it says, but if y'all will not do so. Remember, they had gave their word, they vowed a vow, right? But if y'all will not do so, behold, you have sinned against Jehovah, and be sure your sin will find you out. In essence, their sin did find them out, because the Reubenites, the Gadites, half tribe, they were the first ones to go into the captivity, right? So these are those who choose their inheritance just outside the land. Now the land, in the second of the two truths, we have the land, the actual physical 5-cycle land, right? And then we have the metaphysical aspect of the land. The land is like the consciousness, is like the liberty, right? So to speak, the liberty. So some of the carnal fleshy, well, all of the carnal fleshy, but some of the Christians who are the carnal fleshy minded Christians, they also are like the tribes of Reuben, Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh. They choose their inheritance, not going in, fully to live it, but just outside, just on the border, yes, yes, the borderline. They're the borderline, right? Borderline. Think I'm going to lose my mind. That's what that song said. Well, they choose their inheritance on the border. These are the carnal Christians or the carnal believers, right? What their descendants were, right, when the Messiah came, can be clearly seen in Mark's gospel. Mark the gospel, as His Majesty Gormawi Nagus Nages, the King Messiah says, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. In Mark chapter 5, verses 1 to 17. Let's just go there. We're going to ride up as we give the brothers and sisters and those who will call in and attend and give ear some time right here, just a segue right here as we're completing this book, and to bring out some of these key reasonings that it took I and I some time to really see how the word explains the word, even in ways that we didn't even know, how the interconnectivity. For example, Mטות, the tribes, it begins off with vows. Then it concludes with the Reubenites, the Gadites, the half tribe of Manasseh. They make a vow, and they did not keep their word, right? And then later on, right, see, it took a vow to say, all right, if you give us this land right here, we'll be sure to assist our brothers who are going into the land. We'll fight. We'll fight on their behalf so they can conquer and they can inherit the land, right? They can get the land. And they didn't do so, right? They basically took the land. And why did they choose the land again? They chose the land because they saw that they had a lot of cattle. For example, right here, it says in Numbers chapter 32, here's what it means in the word where it says rightly dividing the word, here a little, there a little. So we'll go to Mark a little, but here let's go to Numbers chapter 32, verse 1 a little, right? Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of cattle. They had enough cattle. That means they were rich, right? In the natural liberty sense. This is wealth in the real world, right? They had a great multitude of cattle. And when they saw the land of Jazeer, and the land of Gilead, that behold, the place was a place for cattle. So they were very pragmatic. Look, there's land. It's good land. This is the kind of land for cattle. Look, we have a lot of cattle. They put 2 and 2 together, right? And they went forward to Moshe. Now, when they went forward to Moshe, it's interesting because they went forward to Moshe and they talked about, the land is for cattle and your servants have cattle. Wherefore, said they, if we have found grace in thy sight, speaking to Moshe, the servant, right, the Ish Elohim, the man of High Lahim, of the power. They said here in Numbers chapter 32, verse 5, wherefore, said they, if we have found grace in thy sight, let this land be given to thy servants for possession, and bring us not over Jordan. A new way to look at the true way, scripture way, according to the glory of his divine majesty, to put together the Ayabingi chant. It reached the river Jordan and you turn back. Well, they reached the river Jordan. They said, listen, we got cattle. The land is for cattle, right? If we found grace in your sight, right? Give this land for us, but bring us not over Jordan. And Moses said to the children of Gad and the children of Reuben, shall your brethren them go to war? Shall your brethren them go to war? And shall y'all sit here? Then that brought to mind how a lot of I sometimes, getting caught up on hype and everything. Warrior, sing and dance, warrior. But what about when the war is on? See, this is the beginning step of war, studying, right? Look at militaries, look at armies. What the first thing they do? You join up, right? You join up, go through some physical exercises. Yeah, you get a uniform and everything. But then you sit down in class, right? And then go over everything, right? Study everything. And then you go out there in the field. But might want to put on clothing and then go out in the field and then run off the battlefield and still talk about me, warrior. But what did Moses say to them? Moses said, shall your brethren go to war and shall y'all sit here? And wherefore discourage y'all the heart of the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, from going over into the land that Jehovah hath given them. Now, this is a key point for I, especially of the new name, precious name, Rastafari, ethnic Yisrael. We, the black and brown peoples over here in the Americas and the Caribbean. Because what Agwan? What happened? The Shashamani, what happened? How was black people's heart discouraged? Who discouraged their heart? Was it like what happened here? See, it's almost like one say, I'll be a fool for going for Africa. Go to Africa when I can drive a Chris Kia and be big about in England and America. You know what I mean? They saw something on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, the Ethiopic Ocean, right? And because it matched, we got a lot of cattle. This land good for cattle. Why should we go over there? And see how this discourages the heart. That's what Moses now is trying to remind them, right? Because remember, these were the babes. These are little ones. They were little ones. Their fathers, their patriarchs, had already wandered around for 40 years with Chris clothes and Chris shoes. Isn't that important to my people, black and brown people? That's what John said. He said, your clothing didn't wear out, and neither did your footwear, your shoes wear out. I said, Chan, ain't that something he know us? Psychologically, we can prove that the once lost 400-year black and brown people over here are Israelites. From the psychological, if you can understand the psychological aspect of the people, because we look at ourselves today, if we're honest, we see the same things. That's why the scripture helps us to guide us and overcome it. He says, wherefore discourage you all the heart of the sons of Israel from going over into the land that Jehovah hath given them. He says, thus did your fathers. Most of their fathers were dead, when it says in that Psalm, what is it, Psalm 90? 70 years. And if by reason of strength it be 80. People say, well, people only can live to 70, 80 years. No. See, not reading it fully and studying. That's a song of a prayer. It says a prayer of Moses, the Ish Ha-Elohim. Or Psalm 90, a prayer of Moses. That's what you find it. And what Moses is recounting is that faithless generation, right, who listened to the 10 of the 12 spies who brought back lies that did what? That discouraged the children of Israel. Africa, Ethiopia are beautiful. It's Irie. It's a beautiful land, but the people are too strong and the Africans this and the Africans that. That's what happened about 60 or so years ago. Right now, there's a new generation, right? But what Moses reminded them, he says, thus did your fathers when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. Interesting thing about the name Kadesh Barnea. Kadesh means holy place, and Barnea means wavering, oscillating, wavering, right? Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, that sense, wavering. So they were wavering where? At the Kadesh, at the holy place. They were wavering, yes, with Jah people, but what Jah says here, Ayman, you see how Ayman look at it? No. Unless the way you look at it is the way, tell me how Jah see it. Thus did your fathers when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to sight the land. For when they went up into the valley of Eshcol, and saw the land, what they did, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel. You know, like when one sometimes go Africa or go Ethiopia, they come back and say, "Oh, woo, woo, woo. It's beautiful, beautiful country, but we saw some bad things, or we saw some whatever," you know. And then people be like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't go and repatriate." Then, you know, that's what happens. They discourage the heart of the children of Israel that they should not go into the land that Jehovah had given them. And another point, Shashamene was not given to Rastafari or Rastas, and I say that as Rastafari. I know this is a surprise one, right? You've heard that people say, "Yeah, Selassie, I gave us a land, the Rastafari." No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Stop lying. The Rastafari, the Maui Haile Selassie, he gave the land to we, the black peoples, especially the lost sheeples, the Beta Israel, black peoples, the 400-year people over here in the Americas and the Caribbean. That's how it was given. So you can see even right there, it starts to go off. It's like the targeting system. The crosses didn't align on the sniper rifle. It started to go off. Right? Friendly fire. I don't know about that, but more fire for that going astray, because they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel. Verse 10, and Jehovah's anger was kindled the same time, and he swear, saying, essentially we see about repatriation and certain things with Africa and Ethiopia. In fact, even before His Majesty gave the land officially to we, the black people, the children of Israel over here in the Americas and the Caribbean, there are ones like one of our first rabbis in the resurrection, Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford, the one who wrote the Ethiopia anthem, the universal anthem, right, that of the UNIA, that Rastafari, that I and I chant, was written by the black Jew, one of our black Jews, right? And he went over there, as well as many others went, even before, back in the 30s and everything like that, just to point that out. Now, when the fascists had invaded the Romanists, they basically deported them back over here. Then the Federation, the Eastern World Federation came about, right? And then after the war was won, I and I ancestors asked, right? And His Majesty said that thought was already in his divine mind, and he officially gave it circa 1948. So think, we had the land from the King Messiah, the King of Kings upon the throne of great King David in 1948. Who else got land? By some means, not the divine means that we got it, from the King Messiah upon the throne of great King David. Who got land in 1948? Oh, it was the state of Israel, the United Nations, and all of that. Now we look at, let's look at that. Now some would say, oh, it's because they're white Jews and blah, 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 blah. No, because they take the instructions of Jah more seriously than we have. Plain and simple. Remember what Christ said, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no wise enter into the kingdom. Check. So let's go on right here, right? We're going to pick up. And Jehovah's anger was kindled the same time, and he swear, saying, Numbers chapter 32, verse 10, verse 11, surely no one of the men that came up out of Egypt, out of Kemet, Mitzrayim, from 20 years old and upward. So check this, that all of this new generation here that we have after 39, 40 years in the Torah reading and feeding right here is those who are under 20. Right? And they had grown up. Their parents had died, reached about 70 or 80 years. That's what the 70, 80 years is from. Because Moses himself was 120, right? And Aaron and also Miriam, they were up there, right? In fact, if anybody want to say a time, not a time limit, but a time to aim for, is at 120, as we have in Genesis chapter 6. But let's go forward. He said, surely none of the men that came up, Mitzrayim, out of Mizraim, from 20 years old and upward shall see the land that I swear to the Hebrew Trinity, Abraham, to Yitzhak, to Jacob, the patriarchal Trinity, because they have not holistically, completely followed me. Ain't no half-stepping, but they were half-stepping, right? Except Caleb, verse 12, save Caleb, or except for Caleb, the son of Yefuneh, the Kenizzite, and Yehoshua ben Nun, the son of Nun, for they have holistically, completely followed he who be his divine majesty. Verse 13, and Jehovah's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years. Isn't that similar to what has also happened even concerning the land grant of His Majesty to the Israelite black people diaspora over here? When I say Israel, I'm speaking about Israel. I'm not speaking about an organization, TTI. You know what I mean? 12 tribes of Israel. I'm speaking about Israel, right? Incorporated in heaven, right? Overs, right? Wander in the wilderness 40 years until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of Jehovah was consumed. Now we read, but let's comprehend. Note the wording. He said, had done evil where? In the sight, in the eyes of Jehovah. Because see, some of what we might do sometimes doesn't seem evil in our own eyes. We're like, it's not evil. We're being pragmatic like the children of Reuben, Gad, and the Manassites, right? But it was evil in his sight, right? In his sight. Words of my mouth, meditation of my heart, be humbly acceptable where? in the eyesight, the most high sight. And behold, ye are risen up in your father's stead, because their fathers, their patriarchs, had already wandered to death. All right, that's who takes the brunt of breaking the covenant. Mind them. So when you hear black man say, why we as black man that's over here in the Americas and Caribbean, why we got to go through so much? Well, tell them to read the 10 words called the 10 commandments. All right, he said, will visit the iniquity upon who? Upon the fathers, to third and fourth generation of those who continue the iniquity of their fathers. But here in Numbers chapter 32, verse 14 said, behold, y'all are risen up in your father's stead. So instead of your father, right, y'all are rising up, this new generation, right, after 40 years. An increase of sinful, of artful men, of lacking that true holistic obedience to God's word and way, to augment yet the fierce anger of Jehovah toward Israel. For if he turn away from after him, he will yet again leave them by Midbar in the wilderness. Now let's think about this for a moment. The wilderness of the Americas and the Caribbean. Did Jah leave the former generation? He left them to their own devices. They wanted to follow a donkey. They wanted to follow the Dixiecrat Democrat Party. They wanted to follow civil rats. And so now we see the results of that. And ye shall destroy all this people. Let's look at the language again. Moses is saying to them, for if y'all turn away from him, he will yet again leave them. If y'all turn away from him, he will yet again leave them in the wilderness, and ye and y'all shall destroy all this people. So we look at black people, the situation of black people nowadays. Who has destroyed? It's the white man. It's the white man. No, he left them. They wanted to be following after the white man and his systems, not the system that the king, the cornerstone of the King of Kings kingdom, right, gave us a constitution and bylaws to govern ourselves. So those people destroyed this people. And they came near to him and said, now check this out here. We will build sheepfolds for our cattle and cities for our little ones, our little ones. Shouldn't it have been, we will build cities for our children, our little ones, and build sheepfolds here for our cattle? We point this out because as we study this, we see that they were more concerned about their possessions, about their property, their possessions. All right, because some can't go forward to promised land because they're thinking about all they got here in America or England or somewhere else in foreign, right? But we ourselves will go ready armed before the sons of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael, until we have brought them to their place. And our little ones shall dwell in fenced cities because of the inhabitants of the land. So they even knew that because of the various different people in the land, we got to protect our youth, the women and the children. But note what they said. They said, we ourselves will go ready armed. So after all Moses said to them, right, they felt, okay, so what you're saying to us, Moshe, is that we should build sheepfolds for our cattle and cities for our little one and go over armed. No, they said that they would go over armed. Not with the children of Israel. They said before the children of Israel. They said they will be the stormtroopers, the strike guard, special forces for the Bnei Yisrael until what? Until we have brought them to their place. And our little ones shall dwell in fenced cities because of the inhabitants of the land. They may be black like us, but they have their own gods, their philosophies, their ideas, like a lot of the Africans too, right? He says, we will not return to our houses. Oh, really? Until the children of Israel have inherited every man. see the words of their mouth. Check this. Until the children of Israel have inherited every man his inheritance. For we will not inherit with them on yonder side Jordan, on the other side of the Jordan, because they reached the river Jordan, they turned back because they saw some nice land, right? Or forward. So they said, we're going to stay backward over here, but we'll go forward to before the children of Israel to make sure that every man get his land. Right? That's what they're saying. Because our inheritance, they said, is fallen to us on this side of the Jordan, eastward. And Moses said to them, if y'all will do this thing, if y'all will do this thing, if y'all will go armed before Jehovah to war, and will go all of you armed over Jordan before Jehovah until he have driven out his enemies from before him. This connects with Psalm 68, where we find Jah in the translation, right? Verse 22, and the land be subdued before Jehovah. The context here of going before Jehovah is the ark. The ark, in other words, the ark and the tabernacle. We go forward, and the ark and the tabernacle, his witness, his presence, he says, is between the two cherubim and above the mercy seat, that he would commune with the children of Israel. So that's the context of it, right? And the land be subdued before Jehovah. Then afterwards, after you have done all that you all have said, right? Y'all shall return and be guiltless before Jehovah and before Israel. And this land shall be your possession before Jehovah. But if y'all will not do so, behold, ye have sinned against Jehovah, and be sure your sin will find you out. All right, build you cities for your little ones. Now, here's my point about how to learn about their property, what they possess, like their bank account, so to speak, right? More than they were concerned about their children, right? Look at verse 24, Numbers chapter 32, verse 24, what Moses is saying to them. He says, build you cities for your little ones and folds, sheepfolds for your sheep, and do that which has proceeded out of your mouth. Because somebody say, well, it don't say anything about vow, right? Okay, but you may read well. Now let's comprehend well. He says, that which proceeds out of your mouth in verse 24 of Numbers chapter 32, 24. You go to 30 and 2, right? It says, he shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Therefore, it's a vow. It's a vow. They have vow. But now note how Moses puts the children before their cattle, their sheep, and he says, build you cities for your little ones and folds for your sheep. If you go to verse 16 of Numbers chapter 32, what did they say? They came near to him and said, we will build sheepfolds here for our cattle and cities for our little ones. This is not poetry here. People say, oh, it's poetry because that's why it's reversed. No, it's wisdom if you can get this. They said, we care about our sheep more than our children. We care about our possession more than our children. We will build sheepfolds here for our cattle and cities for our little ones. Right? And what did Moses say to them? Moses said in verse 24, build you cities. He instructed them. Build you cities. He commanded them, actually, build you cities for your little ones first. And after that, and sheepfolds for your sheep. Right? In other words, because you said you're going to go forward and you're going to do all of this and everything like that, and you're not going to return until every man of Israel, gets their land, because you already have gotten your land over here. And do that which has proceeded out of your mouth. And the children of Gad and children of Reuben spake to Moses, saying, what did they say? They said, oh, no, we don't like that. No, they said, thy servants will do as Adoni, right? As Getaye, as my Lord, my master commandeth. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, and all our cattle shall be there in the cities of Gilead. But thy servants will pass over, every man armed for war, before Jehovah to battle, as Adoni, as my Lord saith. Now, this is so important because they didn't do this. And then when we read of who went into captivity, first and everything, it was them who had went into captivity first, because they basically inherit a consequence, or one might say a curse. Not, it wasn't a curse in that sense, but it was a consequence of their own failed word sound. So concerning them, Moses commanded Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun, because Joshua will be the new leader after Moses tribes on, and the chief fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, if, that's a big word there, right? If, it's a condition. People say it's unconditional. No, there's conditions. If the children of Gad and the children of Reuben will pass with you over Jordan, every man armed to battle before Jehovah, and the land shall be subdued before you, then. Because Moses is not going to, after all this is going on, Moses have already gone forward, right? So he's basically leaving this condition for the next leadership. He says, then y'all shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. Basically, after they said all this lovely vow saying, we're going to do this and that, they basically did none of that, and he took the land. Oh, Moses dead? Okay, we're just going to go ahead and do our thing. But be sure your uckery will find you out. Remember what Moses, what was said to them? So here Moses said to those who are going to, carry on with the leadership of Israel, he says, if they do this, right? If they do this, then ye shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not pass over with you armed, then they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan. In other words, if they don't do this, if you'll go into land and they're not with you, fighting alongside, helping you get the land like they said they was going to do and everything, right? Then they just come with you across Jordan and they get land with the rest of us, right? But they after they talked this talk, they felt it was a done deal. They didn't have to fulfill their word. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, as Jehovah have said to thy servants. See, and here's where they signed the contract. They signed this vow agreement. They signed off on this. As Jehovah has said to thy servants. But they probably thought that, well, Moses is dead, Moses passed on, and other generations came in, and, we could just, no problem. But Jah forever live, ever faithful, ever sure. As Jehovah have said to thy servants, so will we do. We will pass over armed before Jehovah into the land of Canaan, the Afro-Canaanite land, that the possession of our inheritance on this side Jordan may be ours. And Moses gave to them, even to the children of Gad, the children of Reuben, and to the half the tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan. That's why when we read Psalm 68, we find Bashan. If you read through the Psalm, you find there's some talk about one named Bashan, right? The land, right, of Bashan, with the cities thereof in the coast, even the cities of the country round about. So there. Gonna take a little Sailor moment here, ride up with my side. Just chewing the cud, chewing the word right here, right? So we can learn from this, right? Gain some wisdom from this. Yes, I, Rastafari.
Not unto the words of Jacob. These are the words of our fathers. Oh, Israel. Let me live, let you and live and never die. I will give praises to the Most High. Let me live, let you and live and never die. I will give praises to the Most High. For this double course. Hearken to the words of Jacob. These are the words of our father. Oh, Israel. Let me live, let Reuben live and never die. I will give praises to the Most High. Let me live, let Reuben live and never die. I will give praises to the Most High. Praises be to the Almighty One. Can you see where we are going? For our sake I make those pleas. For the seed some are sowing. Destroy peace and unity. And it's showing. It is growing. we are going. For our sake I make the plea. For the seeds some are sowing. Destroy peace and unity. And let's show me it is growing. Peace and love in any language will remain one and the same. Power in the world, no darkness, to the calling of your name. God is worthy, Almighty. Let's all rejoice in songs and praise. El Shaddai, here I am dying like a child. Let's all stop flying. El Shaddai, here I am dying like a child. Let's all stop flying. El Shaddai, here I am dying like a child. Let's all stop flying. You arise, El Shaddai.
Jamali right there, El Shaddai. Jamali right there, El Shaddai. Almighty, S-I, El Shaddai. In the Hebrew, from the Hebrew right there. So here for this double portion, mention the garnet silk, the chant right there. So here the full of fold, the garnet silk chant, and then the full of fold chant on the ketadrum rhythm. But this chant here kind of brings out Psalm 68. And Psalm 68, very interestingly enough, is basically what this Torah reading and feeding is, this fourth book is, you know, as we're moving forward right here through the Midbar, through the wilderness, the trotting of Jah people. Yes, I, Rastafari.
Be still, all the enemies of Jah, and know that the Lord God, Jah the Almighty, shall rule the head of his enemies. Jah, Rastafari, I listen after the first. So let God arise, let his enemies be scattered. Let them also that hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melteth before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. But let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto God. Sing praises to his name. Extol him that rideth on the heavens by his name. Jah, Rastafari, Haile Selassie the first. Our Father, strength and Redeemer, who lives and rules and reigns over all living things. A Father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation. God set up the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in dry land. O God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, Father, strength and Redeemer, when thou wentest forth before thy people, when thou did march through the wilderness, Selah, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of God. But even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie first, the God of Israel. Thou, O God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, did send a plentiful rain, whereby thou did confirm thine inheritance when it was weary. Thy congregation hath dwelt therein. Thou, O God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, hast prepared of thy goodness for the poor. The Lord God, Jah the Almighty, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it. Kings of armies did flee apace, and she that carried us home divided the spoil. Though ye have lain among the flocks, yet shall ye be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. When the Almighty God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, scattered kings in it, it was white as snow in Salmon. The hill of God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, is as the hill of Bashan, and high hill as the hill of Bashan. Why leave ye high hills? This is the hill which God, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie first desireth to dwell in. Yea, the Lord God, Jah the Almighty, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, will dwell in it forever. The chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord God, Jah the Almighty, Haile Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. Thou hast ascended on high, Thou hast led captivity captive. Thou hast received gifts from man, yea, for the rebellious also. That the Lord God, the Almighty, and His Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, might dwell among them. Blessed be the Almighty God, the Rastafari, the Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, who daily leadeth us with benefits, even the God of our salvation, Selah. He that is our God is the God of salvation. And unto God, the Rastafari, the Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, Lord belongeth the issues from death. But the Lord God, the Almighty, and His Selassie, our Father, strength and Redeemer, shall wound the head of his enemies, and hear his scalp of such an one as goeth unstill in his trespasses.
His foundation is in the whole of mountain. Jealous the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things have been spoken of the O city of God. I'll make mention to Rahab and Babylon to them that know I. With the old Philistine Tyre, with Ethiopia, it shall be said that this man was born there. And the highest himself shall establish the earth. Jah Rastafari.
The Lord said, I will bring again from Bashan, I will bring my people again from the depths of the sea, that thy foot may be dipped in the blood of thine enemies, and the tongue of thy dogs in the same. They have seen thy goings, O God, even the goings of my God, my King, in the sanctuary. The singers went before, the players on instruments followed after, among them were the damsels playing with timbrels. Bless ye God in the congregations, even the Lord, from the fountain of Israel. There is little Benjamin with their ruler, the princes of Judah and their council, the princes of Zebulun and the princes of Naphtali. Thy God hath commanded thy strength. Strengthen, O God, that which thou hast wrought for us. Because of thy temple at Jerusalem shall kings bring presents unto thee. Rebuke the company of spearmen, the multitude of the bulls with the calves of the people, till every one submit himself with pieces of silver. Scatter thou the people that delight in war. Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. To God. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God. Sing unto God, ye kingdoms of the earth. Oh, sing praises unto the Lord. Selah, 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 Selah. To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens, which were of old, lo, he doth send out his voice, and that a mighty voice. Ascribe ye strength unto God. His excellency is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds. O God, thou art terrible out of thy holy places. The God of Israel is he that giveth strength and power unto his people. Blessed be God.
Yeah, let's segue here to today's daily psalm. We got Psalm 75 right here. Psalm 75.
Bring forth the Bible. Bring forth the Bible. Bring forth the Bible. Bring forth the Bible. Bring forth the
Psalm 75. Unto thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto thee do we give thanks. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Selah. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly. And to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one, and setteth up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted, 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 shall be exalted.
Glory to the Most High Jah, Rastafari, King of Kings, Lords of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, light of the world, is His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. Protect my son David as he travel this lonely path. Steer my son far from bloody men who surround him with opinions sharp as daggers. Bless him with a vision to distinguish friends from foes. Bless his listeners with understanding and patience. Remind the critics that all judgment belongs to thee. May the words of thy mouth and the meditation of thy heart be acceptable in thy presence, Selah.
So people still searching for this truth here, which this reggae music, bring Christ to them, and the only purpose it serves is to tell the people about Rastafari.
Today's Daily Psalm, Psalm 75, dub-wise, right here. Royal and Hart from His Majesty's Bible, HSV, Haile Selassie version, and the KJV side by side right here. Take a lick, rhythm.
መዝሙር 74 በቅንፍ 75 ለመዘምራን አለቃ አታጥፋ የአሳፍ የምስጋና መዝሙር። አቤቱ እናመሰግንሃለን ስምህንም እንጠራለን፣ ታምራትን ሁሉ እናገራለን። ጊዜውን ስቀበል እኔ በቅን እፈርዳለሁ። ምድርና በእርሷ ውስጥ የሚኖሩት ሁሉ ቀለጡ፣ እኔም ምሰሶቿን አጸናሁ። አመፀኞችን አትበድሉ አልኋቸው፣ ኃጢአተኞችንም ቀንዳችሁን አታንሱ፣ ቀንዳችሁን እስከ ላይ አታንሱ፣ በእግዚአብሔርም ላይ አመፅን አትናገሩ። ክብር ከምስራቅ ወይም ከምዕራብ ወይም ከምድረ በዳ የለምና እግዚአብሔር ፈራጅ ነውና ይህን ያዋርዳል ይህንም ያከብራል። ጽዋ በእግዚአብሔር እጅ ነውና ያልተቀላቀለ የወይን ጠጅ ሞላበት፣ ከዚህ ወደዚያ አገላበጠው፣ ነገር ግን አተላው አልፈሰሰም። የምድር ኃጢአተኞች ሁሉ ይጠጡታል፣ እኔ ግን ለዘላለም ደስ ይለኛል። ለያዕቆብም አምላክ ዝማሬን አቀርባለሁ። የኃጥአንን ቀንዶች ሁሉ ሰብራለሁ፣ የጻድቃን ቀንዶች ግን ከፍ ከፍ ይላል።
Psalm 75. Unto thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto thee do we give thanks. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. seek. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one, and setteth up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted, 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 shall be exalted,
Ha, hu, hi, ha, he, hu, ho. Le, lu, li, la, le, lu, lo. Ha, hu, hi, ha, he, hu, ho. Ma, mu, mi, ma, me, mu, mo. Sa, su, si, sa, se, su, so. Ra, ru, ri, ra, re, re, ro. Sa, su, si, sa, se, su, so. She, shu, shi, sha, she, shi, sho. Ka, ku, ki, ka, ke, ku, ko. Ba, bu, bi, ba, be, bu, bo. Ta, tu, ti, ta, te, tu, to. Che, chu, chi, cha, che, chi, cho. Ha, hu, hi, ha, he, hu, ho. Na, nu, ni, na, ne, ne, no. Nye, nu, ni, nya, ne, ni, no. A, u, I, a, e, o. Ka, ku, ki, ka, ke, ku, ko. Ha, hu, hi, ha, he, hu, ho. Wa, wu, wi, wa, we, wu, wo. A, u, I, a, e, o. Z, zu, zi, za, ze, zu, zo. Je,
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips.
Well, with stammering lips and another tongue, but right there, native speaker right there with the Royal and Hark, for those who might not be familiar. That was the 33 Fidel, the 33 primary letters of the Royal and Hark in the seven different forms. So 33 times 7 basically is 231. That was the fullness right there. We was going to just let a part of it play, but as it continues to play, he was going through the order. This is good for one to give ear to hear the ha-hoos, the ha-hoo, he, ha, hey, he, ho, le-lu, li, la, le, lo, the standard form, knowledge, light, word, sound, and power of the language. So here, let's ride up the Royal and Hark, going through verse by verse right here. Today's daily psalm. So just once again, to hear the native speaker here is Abraham Chebudet, the other brother we don't know the name of, but give thanks for that audible right there. I think someone was in the background, right? Also repeating, ones were in the background repeating, learning. For one to one, they'll say, get a good chart, like the Amharic chart. We will recommend Amharic for Rastafari, the Amharic for Rastafari on the YouTube. Again, Amharic for Rastafari. And also go to the links there. You could download a good chart. You know, just have a chart on your phone, a picture. So as you're going through, you can kind of follow along, get used to the Royal Amharic right there. But here. First thing first, right here, native speaker Abraham Chebudet, today's daily psalm. More of the acapella, non-dub-wise, but here. Yes, I.
መዝሙር 74 በቅንፍ 75 ለመዘምራን አለቃ አታጥፋ የአሳፍ የምስጋና መዝሙር። አቤቱ እናመሰግንሃለን ስምህንም እንጠራለን ታምራትን ሁሉ እናገራለሁ ጊዜውን ሲቀበል እኔ በቅን ፈርዳለሁ ምድርና በርሷ ውስጥ የሚኖሩት ሁሉ ቀለጡ እኔም ምሰሶቿን አጸናሁ አመፀኞችን አትበድሉ አልኋቸው ኃጢአተኞችንም ቀንዳችሁን አታንሱ ቀንዳችሁን እስከ ላይ አታንሱ በእግዚአብሔርም ላይ አመፅን አትናገሩ ክብር ከምስራቅ ወይም ከምዕራብ ወይም ከምድረ በዳ የለምና እግዚአብሔር ፈራጅ ነውና ይህን ያዋርዳል ይህንም ያከብራል ጽዋ በእግዚአብሔር እጅ ነውና ያልተቀላቀለ የወይን ጠጅ ሞላበት ከዚህ ወደዚህ አገላበጠው ነገር ግን አተላው አልፈሰሰም የምድር ኃጢአተኞች ሁሉ ይጠጡታል እኔ ግን ለዘላለም ደስ ይለኛል ለያዕቆብም አምላክ ዝማሬን አቀርባለሁ የኃጥአንን ቀንዶች ሁሉ ሰብራለሁ የጻድቃን ቀንዶች ግን ከፍ ከፍ ይላል
Amen, amen, amen.
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips.
Bring forth the Bible. 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 Bring forth.
Salam to Aina Yistalim, eternal name, 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 eternal name. Salam to Aina Yistalim, fraternal greetings. Here. Today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Melchizedek. Here we have Psalm 75, Mezmor Seba Amist, Seba Amist. Themed here, Amarinya, here we'll be reading the English KJV alongside the HSV, the Haile Selassie version, according to the authorized, revised Amharic Bible. And here in the parallel Bible published by the Lion of Judah Society, here we have the Psalms, Mezmore Dawit, Mezmore, the Psalms, the chants, the Isis, the intonation of Dawit, Psalms of David. Here, a parallel Bible version containing in one volume both the 1611 AD English KJV and the Ethiopian King of Kings 1961 AD Amharic text, originally published by Moa Anbesas Neged Yehuda, the Lion of Judah, has prevailed. Godamawi, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Siyumek Ziavia, elect of God, Negus Negesta, Ethiopia, King of Kings of Ethiopia. So here, we have an introduction, annotation, and a brief commentary here in this special Jubilee printing from 2011 AD. But today's daily psalm, right here, Mezmore Dawit, Seba Arat, Seba Amist, the Kinfwist, Seba Amist. So in the ancient, known as 74, in the parentheses corresponding to the today's numbering of the psalm, it is Seba Amis 75. Has a theme right here, Le Melakotawi Danya Yekarebe Zamare. Le Melakotawi Danya, for to the divine. Le Melakotawi Danya, judge. Yekarebe Zamare. Yekarebe, that which is presented, brought near. Yekarebe Zamare. From the same root as Mezmor, which is psalm, in the royal Amharic, the pure language of the Sun and Negus, the language of the Negus, the Sun and Negus Neges, Mezmor, as we have Mezmore, Dawit, Psalm of David, chant, intonation. Here we have Zamare, a chant, this ancient Afro-Shemitic word, also found within the Hebrew. Now, in the Sefer Tehillim, it is themed the nation's gratitude, but here we're going to read and ride up with today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Melchizedek. Here the superscription. Lemezemrana leka, atatifa, ya asaf, ya miskana mezmor. The English translation says, to the chief musician. It's a superscription which in the Sefer Tehillim, in the Hebrew Psalter account in the ancient as the first verse. But it's a superscription, the title. Lemezemrana leka, to the chief musician, to the aleka of the mezemran. Lemezemrana leka, atatifa. Corresponding with the Hebrew, we have here in the Hebrew, la menatzeyach, al tashchet, tashchet, destroy, al tashchet, do not destroy. Corresponding with the royal Amharic, atatifa, don't destroy, don't cause it to be lost, don't destroy, atatifa. Le mezemrana leka, atatifa, ye asaf, ye miskana mezmor, of Asaf, ye miskana, of thanks, of praises, ye of miskana, thanks, praise, mezmor, a chant, and eyes of thanks and praise. This here corresponds with the ancient, the Hebraic, la menatzeyach, for the chief musician, for the overcomer, la menatzeyach, al tashchet, mizmor, le asaf, shir, le asaf, of Asaf, shir. In the Hebrew, it's a shir, it's a song for the leader, chief musician. Al tashchet, do not destroy. A psalm, a chant. Eyes of Asaf, a song. Bamaring in the Metzaf Kedus, in the Book of the Seven Seals. Le mezemrana leka, atatifa, Ye Asaf, Ye Miskana Mezmor. Kuteran, verse 1. Abetu, ina mesagin halen, sim hinima interalen, ta'amratehina hulu inagralo. To thee, I, O God, Abetu, I father's father, O Ab of the bait, Abetu, ina mesagin halen. Do I and I thank the I, ina mesagin halen, I and I thank the I, Abetu, in Amesagin Halen, Simhinim Interalen. To the I, do I and I give thanks, young for eyes is Miskana, in Amesagin Halen. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. Simhinim, Simih, the I male name, Simhinim. And as for the I's male name, Simhinim, in the Teralen, do we call on the I name, the I male name, Simhinim in Teralen, Tamratihin Hulu inagralo, Tamratih, the I wonders, amazing work, Tamratihin Hulu, oh, inagralo. I speak, I tell. For thy name is near, KJV has thy wondrous works declare. All of your amazing ta'amratihin hulu inagralo. I speak, I tell, inagralo. I talk of all your amazing, your wonderful ta'amrat, that which is quite highly is the word in Guz. It's like to know. It has to do with knowledge, but often it's translated as miracles because it's a high knowledge. They're wonderful. They're wonderful. They're amazing. But the root of miracle or wondrous in this sense is that which is past usual ordinary man's comprehension. It's learned. It's highly known, highly knowledgeable. The science, high science. Tamratihin hulu inagralu kuter hulet. Verse 2. When I receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. Gizewin, the time sikebel, when I kabele, sikebel, gizewin sikebel, I begin uprightly ifardalo, I will judge. Gizewin sikebel, begin ifardalo. Kuter source, verse 3. Midrina be'erswa wista yaminorut hulu wa kelletu. Inema misesochuana atenao. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Selah. Midrina be'erswa wista yaminorut hulu kelletu. Midrina, midr, earth, the land. Midrina, the land, and be'erswa, in her wist. In her, ba'arswa, in her, within her, yaminorut, those who dwell, those who live, hulu, all keletu, they melt. In name and I, misesochuan, the pillars, atenao. Can also be in the sense I study, but also in the sense that we have here in the KJV to say, I bear up, atenao. In name, misesochuan, atenao. Kuter arat, verse 4. Ametzenyochin atebedlu al huacho chatiatenyochinim kendachohun atansu. I said to the fools, Ametzenyoch. Here we have the rebels, Bamarinya and Nemharik in the Metzaf Kedus here in the Book of the Seven Seals and the Psalms to the Mezmor Dawit here in Mezmor Dawit Seba Arat begins with Seba Mist Psalm 75. It says Ametzenyochin. Ametzenyoch, rebels, Ametzenyochin, with the ne at the end as a direct object marker for the verb. Ametzenyochin, the rebels, atebedlu al huacho. Don't do wrong. Atebedlu al huacho. Ametzenyochin, atebedlu al huacho. Chatiatenyochinim, kendachun atansu. Deal not foolishly. Don't wrong. Atebedlu al huacho. I have said to them, al huacho, and to the wicked, chatiatenyochinim, and to the sinners, the uckers, to the chatiatenyochinim, and to the sinners, kendachuhun atansu, Kendachu, your horn, y'all horn. Kendachu hun, atansu, don't lift up, not, don't lift up y'all horn. The il canudo. Kendachu hun, atansu, kuter amis, verse 5. Kendachu hun is kalai atansu, the gzyabi harim, lai amitsin, atanagaru. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not with a stiff neck. Kendachuhun is kalai atansu. The egziabi harim lai ametzin atanagaru. Here we have Mamarinya, y'all horn, Kendachun is kalai high to the above, atansu, don't lift up. The egziabi harim, and upon the Egziabi Harim lie against the sustainer, Egziabi Har, the sustainer, the good, the generous Father, the Egziabi Harim lie, Ametzin Atanagaru. Don't speak rebellion. Don't speak Ametz. Ametzin Atanagaru. Don't speak rebellion. Kuter Sidis, verse 6. Kubr ka misraka waim ka mitraba waim ka midre beda yelemina. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. Kubr ka misrak from the east, waim ka mitrab, nor from the west, waim, or ka midre beda from the desert yelemina. For it is not, promotion is not from the east or the west, the misrak or the mitrab, or ka midre beda, not from the desert, the midre of the beda, midre beda, yelemina, kuter sabat, verse 7. Egziabi faraj nowina, yehin yawardal, yehinima yakavral. But God, Egziabi her sustain the good, the generous Father, is the judge. Egziabi her faraj nowina, yehin yawardal, yehinima yakavral. He putteth down one, yehin yawardal, yehinima yakavral, and setteth up and honoreth another. He causes one to be humbled or humiliated, and he honors the other. Egziabi her faraj nowina, yehin yawardal, yehinima yakavral. Note that the psalm is saying, "Le melikotawi danya yakrebe zemare," a chant, an intonation that is presented for the divine. Melikotawi danya, the melikotawi danya chanhoy, le melikotawi danya yakrebe zemare. This verse here, verse kuter sabat, Egziabi faraj nowina, yihin yawardal, yihinim yakavra, kuter cement, verse 8. Sewa be Egziabi harij nowina. Yalla tek alakele ye want jamolabet. Kazi what is ya galabeto. Negrgina talaw ala fesesen. Ye midra khatiaten yo chulu ye tetutal. For in the hand of Egziabi har sustaining the good generous arm, there is a cup, there is a chalice. Sewa be Egziabi har ij nawina. And the wine is red, it is full of mixture, and he pours out of the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked, the ratchet of the earth shall wring out. Drink! According to the reading without italicization, all the wicked, the ratchet of the earth shall wring them out and drink them, or all the wicked, the ratchet of the earth shall wring out. Drink! Mamarinya, Sawabe Gaziavi Harijna winna. Yalla tek elakele ya wine te jamola bet. Here it says not being mixed. Yalla tek elakele ya wine te wine mola bet is filled in it without mixture. Yalla tek elakele ya wine te jamola bet. Kazi what is ya galaveto, like poured from here to there in that sense. Kazi what is ya galaveto negergin atalau ala fesesem. But the dregs. Into the dregs, I will not drink. Yeah, midar, the dregs of the cup, I'm not going to drink. Yeah, midar of the earth, but all of the sinners, the uckers, the chatiatenyoch of the earth shall drink. Yeah, midar chatiatenyoch hulu yitetutal. Kutar zetain, verse 9. And then again, lezalema desa yelenyan le yaikobim mamlak zamarin. Akarvalo. But I will declare forever, forever. I will sing praises, Isis to the God, the true good, the source of Yaakov, the source of Jacob, the God of Jacob. In again, but I again, however, as for I, in again, Lezalem, Desilenial. I will be des, happy, joyful, Desilenial, happy, joyful forever, Lezalem, Desilenial. Le Yaakovim Amlak, and for the source, the Amlak of Yaakov, Le Yaakobim Amlak, Zemarin Akarvalo. I will present my chant, my eyes as my song to the source of Jacob, of Yaakov, Le Yaakobim Amlak, Zemarin Akarvalo. Kutarasar, verse 10. Yechatianin Kendoch Hulu is Sabralo. Yes, Arikanak Endoch Gin, Kef Kef Yalalo. All the horns of the wicked, of the ratchet, also will I cut off. Yechatianin Kendoch Hulu is Sabralo. Yechatianin Kendoch, and of the uckers, the horns, Hulu, all of them, is Sabralo. I will break all the horns of the uckers. Yes, Arikana Kendoch again. However, the horns of the righteous, yes, Arikana Kendoch again. Kef kef yalalu. But the horns of the righteous they shall be lifted high, 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 high. They shall be lifted high, 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 high. Yes, I. Rastafari, 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 Rastafari.
መዝሙር 74 በቅንፍ 75 ለመዘምራን አለቃ አታጥፋ የአሳፍ የምስጋና መዝሙር። አቤቱ እናመሰግንሃለን ስምህንም እንጠራለን ታምራትን ሁሉ እናገራለሁ። ጊዜውን ስቀበል እኔ በቅን እፈርዳለሁ። ምድርና በእርሷ ውስጥ የሚኖሩት ሁሉ ቀለጡ። ምሰሶቿን አጸናሁ። አመፀኞችን አትበድሉ አልኋቸው። ኃጢአተኞችንም ቀንዳችሁን አታንሱ፣ ቀንዳችሁን እስከ ላይ አታንሱ፣ በእግዚአብሔርም ላይ አመፅን አትናገሩ። ክብር ከምስራቅ ወይም ከምዕራብ ወይም ከምድረ በዳ የለምና እግዚአብሔር ፈራጅ ነውና ይህን ያዋርዳል ይህንም ያከብራል። ጽዋ በእግዚአብሔር እጅ ነውና ያልተቀላቀለ የወይን ጠጅ ሞላበት። ከዚህ ወደዚህ አገላበጠው፣ ነገር ግን አተላው አልፈሰሰም። የምድር ኃጢአተኞች ሁሉ ይጠጡታል፣ እኔ ግን ለዘላለም ደስ ይለኛል። ለያዕቆብም አምላክ ዝማሬን አቀርባለሁ። የኃጥአንን ቀንዶች ሁሉ ሰብራለሁ፣ የጻድቃን ቀንዶች ግን ከፍ ከፍ ይላል።
እውቀትህን ፈትሽ የንጉሥን
Test your knowledge. What is the King of Kings' kingdom, and from where does it rule? Who rules in the kingdom, and who are its subjects? How has the King of Kings assured us that his kingdom is a reality?
የአሕዛብ ዘመን የጀመረውና ያለቀው መቼ
When did the appointed times of the nations begin and end? Little Rhema tune right here for today's daily Psalm 75, the nation's gratitude right here. Luciano Capleton, Jah Kingdom.
Jah Kingdom. I'm revolution in the cool job. Jah Kingdom. Revolution and leading out the truth. Jah Kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari voice must be heard. Jah Kingdom come down upon earth. King Selassie, I am his shepherd. Jah Kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari voice must be heard. Jah Kingdom come down
upon earth. Revolutionary soldier is there.
Babylon of the God, they do them up, they accept the truth, come on, a revolutionary soldier, long time we do them up, they do them up, they accept, well, them can't stop me from freedom, make sure Babylon, you gun them soon, now no use, no more get a youth, then you can't come shoot, they do them sick, and them find the truth, again the truth will like the sea, the people like the fruit, I am the plant, I am the lamb, this them man, the root, Louisiana, get them with the John Moon.
Behold the Lion of Judah has conquered again and again. Setting the captives free. Yes, again and again. Oh Lord, your kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari must be earth. Your kingdom come down upon earth. King Selassie, I wish you earth. Your kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari must be earth. Your kingdom come down upon earth. King Selassie, I wish you earth.
Well, Babylon, to this one, when you're the talking sign, don't knock me to the mind of black star line. Believe out Babylon now anytime. The youth them sick, them search and find, and them know I am after 11 and you 39. So much get to you, get from borderline. And no more you to feed, get no carbine. But fight round the fight, and I'm pretty fun with mine. Brainwash education, I break down long time. Louisiana sing and show Babylon sign, Babylon a figure. Don't mute them up, they accept the truth. Man, a revolutionary soldier, long time recruit them up. Don't mute them up, they accept. Well, them can't stop me from lead out the truth.
Your kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari must be earth. Your kingdom come down upon earth. King Selassie, I am his shepherd. Your kingdom come down upon earth. Rastafari must be earth.
And this Babylon now go overstand. When them see the mountain sail from the ocean, them I wonder if a dream or a vision. I wonder if it's real or illusion. Tell the whole of them they better overstand. Africa me know that it's where you come from. Tell me that we moving through the pollution. Hey, Lucian and them pattern, they sang Babylon a figure. Don't you them up, they accept the truth. Man, a revolutionary soldier, long time the truth them up. Don't you them up, they accept. Well, them just stop me from me down the truth. Lucian,
the Lion of Judah.
In Ethiopian life, the imperial ruler is likened in splendor to the sun, splendor to the sun, splendor to the sun, in exalted power to the lion, to the lion, to the lion, in his divine being to the kings of Israel, divine being to the kings of Israel, and to the kings of Israel, and to the kings of Israel, and at times to God, and at times to God, and at times to God himself.
To his many followers, Jesus Christ was black, and Haile Selassie as the returned Messiah. Bob Marley was not just a pop star, but a prophet, the spiritual leader of a religious movement that is fast becoming a political force in the Caribbean. That movement is called Rastafari. In our report, first shown last December, Rastas believe that Ethiopia was and is the true biblical Israel. Thus, as they see it, blacks were the original chosen people of God, and the Jews are imposters. They say that Jesus Christ was black, and they worship Haile Selassie as the returned Messiah. Africa is their promised land. All other civilization is Babylon. And Babylon's leader, considered by them to be the devil on earth, is the Pope.
We kill him, every thought we have is just to kill the Pope. Kill him, kill out Rome, kill Babylon.
And you're serious about that?
Yeah, and how we're going to kill them though is with lightning, earthquake, and thunder. Not gun or bayonet, which is Babylon's weapons, but with lightning, earthquake, and thunder.
Rastaman Arthur Kitchen's Kill the Pope sentiments are shared by Rastas throughout the island. The scene is a hillside on the outskirts of Kingston. The sound is Rastafarian drums, symbolic thunder, rolled in daily ritual. 4 drum beats aimed at the 4 corners of the world, so no pope can escape. Babylon will fall is the Rastaman's constant litany. They are praying, hoping, singing for survival and for escape. Their music is called reggae, now popular worldwide. If the
white man has the idea of a white God, let him worship his God as he desires. We have found a new ideal. Because whilst our God has no color, and yet it is human to see everything through one's own spectacles, and since the white people have seen their God through their white spectacles, we have only now started to see our God through our own spectacles. We believe in the God of Ethiopia, the everlasting God, and we shall worship him through the spectacles of Ethiopia. Do you know what it is to be a man? To be a man is to bear resemblance of the Creator.
The sea. Elect up the light of this world. Remember now, lands of King David, Ark of the Covenant, Hebrew language, and you must, little children of the world, learn the Ashanti language, learn the ancient Hebrew language, learn the Twi, learn cuneiform, hieroglyphic, New Orphic, Tamarians, learn them languages there, learn the Hamaric language. You see? You see the English language, trying your mentality,
Sirach, the prologue, King James 1611 version. The same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. Sirach, the prologue.
Hebrew boy, everything takes time.
Rastafari, Abba Gada, Hawa Taya Kaya Mana Saifa Tada Warashata.
מזמור עין ה' למנצח אל תשחט, מזמור לאסף, שיר. הודינו לך אלוהים, הודינו וקרוב שמך, סיפרו נפלאותיך. כי אקח מועד, אני משרים אשפוט. נמוגים ארץ וכל יושביה, אנוכי תיקנתי עמודיה סלע. אמרתי להוללים, אל תהולו, ולרשעים אל תרימו קרן. אל תרימו למרום קרניכם, תדברו וצוואר עתק. כי לא ממוצא וממערב ולא ממדבר הרים, כי אלוהים שופט, זה ישפיל וזה ירים. כי חוס ביד אדוני, ויין חמר מלא מסך, ויגר מזה, אך שמריה ימצאו ישתו כל רשעי ארץ. ואני אגיד לעולם, אזמרה לאלוהי יעקב, וכל קרני רשעים אגדיה, תרוממנה קרנות צדיק.
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering
Hebrew boy, everything takes time.
Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Psalm LXXV, Mizmor Ein Hey, Lamnat Eyach, Ala Tashchet, Mizmor Le Asaf Shir, for the leader, for the chief musician, for the overcomer, Lamnat Eyach, Al Tashchet, do not destroy. Mizmor Le Asaf, a psalm of Asaf. Shir, a song. Mizmor Le Asaf, a chant. Isis of Asaf. Shir, a song. Hodinu leka, Elohim hodinu, wikarov shemeka, siprua nifloteka. We, I and I, give thanks to thee, O Elohim. Hodinu leka, Elohim hodinu, we give thanks. Hodinu. and thy name is near. Wikarov Shemeka. Men tell of thy wondrous works. Sipru Nifloteka. Hodinu Leka. Elohim. Hodinu. Wikarov Shemeka. Sipru Nifloteka. Ki ekacha moed. Ani mesharim eshpot. When I take the appointed time, I myself will judge with equity. Ki ekach moed. When ki ekach, I take moed, the appointed time, the aggregation, the appointment, moed. Ki ekach moed. Ani mesharim eshpot. I myself, ani, will judge with equity. Mesharim, equity, eshpot, will judge. I will judge. Ani mesharim eshpot. Ne mogim eretz, I will call yishveha. Anoki tikanti amudeha selah. When the earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved, I myself establish the pillars of it. Selah. Nimogim eretz will call yishveha. When the earth and all the inhabitants thereof of her are dissolved. Mogim eretz will call yishveha. Anoki, I myself, Anoki, Tikanti, I myself establish Amudeha, the pillars, her pillars, Selah, Diasama, pause. Amarti, Laholim, Ala Taholu, Willa Rishaim, Ala Tarim Mukaren, I say, I've said to the arrogant, Amarti, Laholim, to the holim, to the arrogant. Al taholu, deal not arrogantly. Al taholu, willa rishaim. Al tarimu karen, and to the wicked, willa rishaim, the ratchet. Lift not up the horn. Al tarimu karen. Al tarimu, lama roma karnekem. Tidabrua bias awara ataka. Lift not up your horn on high. Al tarimu la maroma karnekem. Lift not up y'all horn karnekem on high. La marom. Al tarimu la maroma karnekem. Tidabrua bias awara ataka. Speak not insolence with a haughty neck. Tidabrua bias awara ataka. Ki loa mia mot'a ua mia ma'raba loa mi dabara harima. For neither from the east nor from the west, nor yet from the wilderness cometh lifting up. Ki loa mia mot'a ua mia ma'raba. For not mia mot'a, for not from the east, ua mia ma'rab, nor from the Ma'rab, from the west, Willowa mi midabar harim, nor yet from the midabar, Willowa mi midabar harim, lifting up, cometh lifting up. Ki Elohim shofeta, ze yashpil, with ze yarim, for Elohim is the judge. Ki Elohim shofeta, he putteth down one, ze yashpil, and lifteth up another with Zayari. Ki Elohim shofet Zayashpil with Zayari. Ki kosa biyad Yahuwah Yayin Hamar Malaya Mesheka Wayagira Mize Aka Shemareha Yimsua Yishutu Kola Rishae Aret. For in the hand of Yahuwah of Jehovah, of he who be, there is a cup with foaming wine, full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. Surely the dregs thereof, all the wicked, the ratchet of the earth, of the earthly plane, shall drain them and drink them. Ki kos, for a cup, for a chalice. Biyad Yahuwah is in the hand, biyad, in the yad of Yahuwah of Jehovah. With Yaina Hamar, with Yain and the wine, Hamar, and the wine here with foaming wine, full of mixture, with foaming wine, full of mixture, Weyayina Hamar, Malay Meshek, Malay full, Malay Mesek, Malay Mesek. Ki kosa biyad Yahuwa Weyayina Hamar, Malaya Meseka we Yagira Mize, Aka Shimareha, Yimsu, Yishtu, Kol Rishae, Aret. And he pours out of the same. He pours out of the same. We yagir mize ak surely aka shimareha ak shimareha surely the dregs thereof her dregs yimsu yishtu surely the dregs thereof all the wicked of the earth shall drain them and drink them, draining them and drinking them. Yimsu, sucking and drinking them. Yimsu, yishtu, wakola rishai aret, all the rishai aret, kola rishai aret. Wani agid al olam izamra lelohe yaiko. But as for me, as for I and I, wani. Agid, I will declare, and I will declare. I do declare. Wani agid le'olam, for I le'olam. Izamra, I will sing, chant eyes, Izamra le'lohe Yaakov. I will chant eyes is le'lohe to the Elohim of Yaakov, of Jacob. We call la karneya rishaim gadea te romamna karnot adik, all the horns of the wicked, of the ratchet also will I cut off. We'll call the karne and all the horns of Rishai, of the ratchet, egadea, I will cut off. Te romamna karnotas adik, but the horns of the righteous shall be lifted up. Te romamna karnot, the horns of Tzadik, the righteous. Te romamna karnotas adi, 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 karnotas adi.
Madra! Bring forth the Bible. 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 Bring forth.
מזמור עין למנצח על תשחט, מזמור לאסף, שיר. הודינו לך אלוהים, הודינו וקרוב שמך, סיפרו נפלאותיך. כי אקח מועד, אני משרים אשפוט. נמוגים ארץ וכל יושביה, אנוכי תיקנתי עמודיה סלע. אמרתי להוללים, אל תהולו. ולרשעים אל תרימו קרן, אל תרימו למרום קרניכם, תדברו וצבר עתק. כי לא ממוצא וממערב ולא ממדבר הרים, כי אלוהים שופט, זה ישפיל וזה ירים. כי חוס ביד אדוני, ויין חמר מלא מסך, ויגר מזה, אך שמריה ימצאו ישתו כל רשעי ארץ. ואני אגיד לעולם, הזמרה לאלוהי יעקב, וכל קרני רשעים אגדיה, תרוממנה קרנות צדיק.
Psalm 75. Unto thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto thee do we give thanks. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. See. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly. And to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one, and setteth up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. The dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted, 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 shall be exalted.
Many are calling, no? Many are calling, but few are choosing.
Calling to hear the full now, or hopefully catch it on the replay. 515-602-9761. To hear the full now. Calling.
Many are calling, no? Many are calling, but few are choosing.
Here, Midrash, a study on today's daily psalm, according to the royal order of Ethiopian Hebrews, and here after the order of Malachias, Tzedek, Melchizedek, the righteous king, even the king of kings. Barmali, the Haile Selassie, Peace in the Gate of Ethiopia, Moa Anbessa, Zaim Negeda Yehuda. So here, a Midrash, Psalm Dry.
My Hebrew boy, everything takes time.
Mizmor, Ain, Hey. Here, today's Psalm 75, Mizmor, Ain, Hey, Psalm LXXV. Here, a Midrash, a study on today's daily Psalm, according to the royal order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, and here, Shema Yisrael, here, O Israel, here after the order of Melchizedek, Melchizedek order. So here today's Psalm Mizmor Ain, Hey, Hey, Psalm 75, for the leader, Al Tashchet, do not destroy. Lam Natseyach, Al Tashchet, for the leader, for the chief musician, La Menatseyach, Al Tashchet, do not destroy, or Al Tashchet, destroy not. Lam Natseyach, Al Tashchet, for the leader, the chief musician, the overcomer, destroy not. Al Tashchet. Here, the superscription, Hebraically, the Aleph, the first verse, today's psalm. These words are to be considered in the light of what Scripture says elsewhere. Zehu Shamar Hakatub. These words are to be considered in the light of what Scripture says elsewhere. Zehu She'amar Hakatub. For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not fail thee, neither destroy thee. Here, Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 31. For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not fail thee, neither destroy thee. Ki ela rahum Yahuwah Eloheka lo yarpeka lo yashachiteka. For he who be, thy Elohim is a merciful El. Ki El Rahum Yahuwah Eloheka. He will not fail thee eye. Lo Yarteka. Neither destroy thee with lo Yashachiteka. Ki El Rahum Yahuwah Eloheka. Lo Yarteka with lo Yashachiteka. And also in Devarim and Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 26, where it reads, and I prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord God, destroy not thy people. Here, Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 26. And I prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord God, destroy not thy people. Wa'etapalel Eli Yahuwah wa'omar Adonai Yahweh Allah tashacheta ameka, and I prayed, Wa'etapalel Eli Yahuwah, to Jehovah, to he who be, who he be. Wa'etapalel Eli Yahuwah wa Omar, and said, and I said, wa Omar, and I said, Adonai Yahweh, O Adonai, he who be, who he be. Adonai Yahweh Allah tashchet ameka, destroy not thy people. Allah tashchet ameka, destroy not thy people. Allah tashchet ameka. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be he, answered Moses, I will not destroy, as is said even in Devarim in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 10. And the Lord hearkened to me that time also. The Lord would not destroy thee. And the Lord hearkened to I that time also. The Lord would not destroy thee, the I. Wayishma Yahuwah Elai Gama Bapa'ama Hahia Loava Yahuwah Hashachiteka. And he who be, who he be, hearken, heard. Wayishma Yahuwah, and Jehovah hearken, and Jehovah heard. Wayishma Yahuwah Elai to I. Gam Bapa'am, that time also. Gam also. Bapa'am at that time, that I were also. Hahi Gama Bapa'ama Hahi Loava Yahuwah Hashachiteka. He who be, who he be, would not destroy thee. Loava Yahuwah Hashachiteka. Asaph also said to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, to the Holy One, the sanctified one, the set apart one, the Isla one, Baruch Hu, blessed be he, Ribon Shel HaOlamim, Master of the universe, universal Master. Even as thou didst hearken to Moses, so hearken to us, so hear to I and I. Hence, in saying, Al tashchet, destroy not. Hence, here in saying, Al tashchet, destroy not. And here, a midrash note for Mizmor Ayin Hey, Psalm 75. Al tashchet, destroy not. According to the PE, the printed edition, the ET, the edited text has, O Lord God, destroy not thy people. According to the edited text, it reads, O Lord God, destroy not thy people. Adonai Yahweh ala tashcheta ameka. According to Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 26. Adonai Yahweh ala tashcheta ameka. Asaph meant Ribon Shel HaOlamim, Master of the universe, Master of the universe, chasten me, chasten I. Yes, but as a man chastens, disciplines his son, as is said even in Devarim, in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 25. As a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee, I, disciplineth thee. And here, a correction, print typo is Devarim, Deuteronomy 8, chapter 8, verse 5, where it reads, as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. Kia kaashara ye yaseri shaeta bino, Yahweh loheka, me yasareka. Here, Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 5, that as a man chasteneth, disciplineth, instructeth his son, Kia kaashara ye yaseri shaeta bino, so Jehovah, he who be thy Elohim, true good, true God, power, chasteneth thee, Yahuwah Eloheka, Mea Yasareka, Kika Shara Ye Yaseri Shetabino, Yahuwah Eloheka, Me Yasareka. Full of verse, and thou shalt consider in thy heart, and thou shalt consider where Yadaita Ima Be Babeka. Le laveka, le babeka, in thy heart, le babeka, where yadaita, and to know, the eye is to know, where yadaita, aima le babeka, kiaka shara yaseri shaeta bino, Yahweh Eloheka, mea yasareka. And he also said, even in the time, in the hour when thou didst no miracles for us, for I and I, did we not give thee thanks? Did I and I not give thee thanks? Do for us, for I and we, I and I, shall thank thee the more, shall thank the I the more, as is said even here in today's psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey, Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Hebraically the second verse. We give thanks to thee, O God. We, I and I, give thanks, and thy name is near. Hodinu lecha Elohim, Hodinu, Wikaroba Shemeka, Sipurua Nifaloteka. We, I and I, give thanks to thee, to the I. Hodinu lecha Elohim. We give thanks. Hodinu, Wikarob, and near, Wikarob Shemeka, and near the I male name. The I male name is near. The Hashem is near. Wikarob Shemeka, Siparu Nifaloteka. They tell, men tell, they tell, Siparu Nifaloteka, of thy wondrous works. Thy wondrous works. Hodinu lecha Elohim, Hodinu, Wikarob Shemeka, Siparu Nifaloteka. By these words, Asaph meant, we give thanks to thee, to the I. Hodinu lecha, to the I male, when thou, the I, bringest good. And Hodinu lecha, and we, I and I, give thanks to thee, the I male, when thou, the I, imposest suffering. Whether thou, the I, bringest good, or imposes suffering, we, I and I, give thanks to thee, to the I. Hodinu lecha, and thy name is near. Wikarob Shemeka, and the I name, thy male name, Shemeka, Karob, Wikarob Shemeka. That is, thy name, Shemeka, is in our mouths, in I and I mouths. Men did tell of thy wondrous works. Sipru Nifa leoteka. Men did tell, Sipru, they did tell, Sipru, of thy wondrous works. Nifa leoteka. Siprua Nifa leoteka. When shall we, I and I, tell? When shall we tell? At the time, the hour of redemption. As is said, even in today's Psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Hebraically, the Gimel, the Gamel, the third verse, that reads, when I reach the appointed time, I shall declare the acts of equity. When I reach the appointed time, I shall tell the acts of equity. Ki ekach moed, ani mesharim eshpot. Ki, for, or when, ki ekach, when I take, ki ekach moed, Ki ekach moed, when I take the moed, the appointment, the appointed time. Ki ekach moed, when I take the moed, also the gathering in the sense of the feast, the festival is the moed, the appointed place, the ohel moed, the tent of meeting. Also in the Hebraic sense, the synagogue is called the moed, the appointed place. Ki ekach moed, ani, I, me shari, equity, eshpot, will judge. Aniya me sharim eshpot, or may be translated as when I reach the appointed time. Ki ekach moed, I shall declare the acts of equity. Ani me sharim eshpot, or I myself will judge with equity. Now here, this verse in the King James Version, KJV, is numbered as the second verse. That Hebraically is the Gamel, the Gimel, the third verse. This verse here is translated as, when I shall receive the congregation, the moed, the appointment, the appointed time. I will judge uprightly. Ki ekach moed, ani me sharim eshpot. So the sense of ekach, from lakach, to take or to receive. Ki ekach moed, to receive or take a set time, the moed. Ki ekach moed, translated KJV as receiving the congregation. When I take the appointed time, when I reach or reach the moed. Ki ekach moed. When the earth and all the inhabitants thereof were quaking, I myself establish the pillars of it. Selah. Here. Today's Psalm 75, Mizmor Ayin Hey. Here at the Dalet verse, Hebraically the fourth verse. When the earth and all the inhabitants thereof were quaking, I myself established the pillars of it. Selah. Pause. Dear Psalm. Nimogim eretz ukola yishbeha anokia tikanti amudeha selah. When the earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. Nimogim eretz ukola yishbeha, and all the inhabitants of her, speaking of the earth. Nimogim eretz ukola yishbeha anoki, I, the absolute I, self. Anoki, tikanti, amudeha. Tikanti, established. Amudeha. The pillars thereof are amudeha, her pillars. Selah. Forever. Selah. Pause. When Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, sought to give HaTorah, the Torah, to Yisrael, the earth, she began to quake and totter out of fear that the children of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the Israelites, would not, God have mercy, Hashem Yirachem, accept HaTorah, and that the earth would turn back to emptiness and chaos, emptiness and chaos. But as soon as the children of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael, the Israelites, the sons of Israel, said, according to Shemot, Exodus chapter 24, verse 7, we will do and obey. Na'aseh wa nishma. Na'aseh wa nishma. We will do and obey. Na'aseh wa nishma. The earth established herself again on her foundation, as is said even here in today's psalm. I myself established the pillars of it, Selah. I myself established the pillars of her pillars forever, Selah. Anochi tikanti amudeha, Selah. I say to the wicked, you shall not lift up the horn. Here, today's psalm, Mizmor Ayin Hey, here at the Hey, the fifth verse, Hebraically. I say to the wicked, to the ratchet, you shall not lift up the horn. Amarti la rishaim al tarimu karen. I say, Amarti la rishaim, to the ratchet, to the wicked, al tarimu karen, lift not up the horn. Al tarimu karen, you shall not lift up the horn. Y'all shall not lift up the horn. Al tarimu karen, al tarimu karen. Rav Berechiah, in the name of Rav Levi, read these words in the light of the verse, even the verse from Psalm 104, Hebraically the 31st verse that reads, the Lord shall rejoice in his works. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. Yismach Yahuwah b'ma'asayo. May Jehovah rejoice in his works. Yismach Yahuwah b'ma'asayo. B'ma'asav. Some would say b'ma'asayo. Yismach. He will be happy. Yahuwah. He who be, who he be. B'ma'asayo. In ma'asayo. In his works. Yismach Yahuwah b'ma'asayo. Of the time when HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be he, created his earth. What says Scripture? According to Bereshit, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, it reads, God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Vayare Elohim et kol asher asa v'hinei tov me'od, and Elohim saw everything that he had made. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa, and behold, v'hinei, and behold, v'hinei tov, good, me'od, very. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa v'hinei tov me'od. The words God saw, Hebraically, Vayar Elohim, Vayar Elohim, Elohim saw, can have no other meaning than that Elohim rejoiced. As in the verse, even from Shemot, from Exodus chapter 4, verse 14, when he seeth thee, he will rejoice in his heart. Ve'raika ve'samacha be'libo. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. Ve'raika ve'samach be'libo. But, said Elohim, after Adam sinned, after Adam offed up, I removed my presence into Shemayim, into the heavens, so that I, who am the Elohim of the world, no longer rejoice. If one may venture to attribute such words to him, quote, in the world, because the wicked, the Rishaim, rejoice in this world. Hence, hear the verse, the glory of the Lord shall be in the world. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. And here, Mizmor Kof, Dalet, Psalm 104, here the fullness of the 31st verse Hebraically. May the glory of Jehovah endure forever. May Jehovah rejoice in his works. Yehia kavod Yahuwah le'olam. Yismach Yahuwah be'ma'asayo. This verse speaks of the olam haba, of the world to come. The verse does not say the Lord Yahuwah Jehovah rejoices, but Yahuwah Jehovah shall rejoice, will rejoice. That is, shall rejoice in the olam haba, in the world to come, in the zemana labo, in the time, the Iwa to come. Hence, here, even in today's psalm, it is written, I say to the arrogant, you shall not deal arrogantly, and to the wicked, the ratchet, you shall not lift up the horn. Amarti ala holim ala taholu willa rishaim al tarimu karen. According to Ha-Rebbanim, according to the rabbis, Ha-Rebbanim, the scholars of Torah, This verse here in today's psalm, it alludes to Elishaba, the daughter of Aminadab. And here, Midrash note, see Exodus, refer to Exodus Shemot, Exodus chapter 6, verse 23, here, where it reads, and Aaron took him Elishaba, the daughter of Aminadab, the sister of Nahshon, to wife. And she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Yitamar. Wayikach Aharon et Eliasheva, Bata Aminadab, Echota Nahshon, Lawu, Li Isha, Wa Teleda Lawu eta Nadava, Weta Rihua eta Eleazara, Weta Itamar. So here, Ani Lechoser, I repeat, according to Har-Rebbanim, the scholars of Torah, this verse from today's Psalm is more Ein Hey. Ein Hey, Psalm 75, he breaks with the Hey verse, the fifth verse, corresponding with the fourth verse in the KJV that reads, Amarti, lahollim, ala tahollu, willa rishai, al tarimuk arren. I say to the arrogant, you shall not deal arrogantly, and to the wicked, the ratchet, you shall not lift up the horn. According to the scholars of Torah, this verse alludes to Elishaba, the daughter of Aminadab, who in one day knew 4 great joys. She saw her brother-in-law Moses, made king. Her husband Aharon made Kohen Gadol, high priest. Her brother Nahshon made prince, and her sons Eleazar and Yitamar made adjutants of the Kohen Gadol, of the high priest. But then her 2 other sons, Nadab and Abihu, went in to make offerings and were devoured and were eaten up by fire, as is said even in Wayikra, in Leviticus chapter 10, verse 2, where it reads, and there came forth fire from before the Lord and devoured them and ate them up. And there came forth fire from before, from the face, from the presence of he who be, who he be. And devoured them. And there came forth fire. And she came forth, and fire, she came forth. And fire, she came forth from the presence, from the face of he who be, who he be. And she ate them up. And after the death of the 2 sons of Aharon, of Aaron, here, Wayikra, Leviticus chapter 16, verse 1. Achrei mot shnei b'nei Aharon. And after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron, Achrei mota shnei b'nei Aharon, her joy changed to grief. And so the arrogantly righteous have no joy in this world. Here, a Midrash note. So here in the Midrash note for Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, the attribution of arrogance to Elishaba seems unnecessary. The commentator means to cite her as an example of the sufferings of the righteous, while the wicked, the ratchet, are at ease. Yet the latter will be eventually punished. Yet the latter, the Rishaim, the ratchet ones that are at ease, will be punished eventually. And so the arrogantly righteous have no joy in this world. Only the wicked, Harishaim, the ratchet ones, rejoice. Hence, here, I say to the arrogant, you shall not arrogantly rejoice. Amarti, la holim, al taholu. Deal not arrogantly, you shall not arrogantly rejoice. Amarti, la holim, al tahol, la rishai, al tarimuk arren. I say to the arrogant, deal not arrogantly. And to the ratchet, the wicked, lift not up the horn. The horn, 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 the horn.
Wise, slash, perfect, blessed, Messiah.
For with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and another tongue, for with stammering lips and stammering lips and stammering lips to this for with stammering lips and another tongue and another tongue to this for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people, to whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear, would not hear, would not hear, would not.
Altarimu, lama Roma karnechem, tidabru abils arataka. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not insolence with a haughty neck. For neither from the east, nor from the west, nor yet from the wilderness cometh an uprising. Here. Today's psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey. Psalm 75, here, Hebraically, the wow to the Zayin, the 6th and 7th verses, here. Altarimu, lamarom karnekem, tedabru abiz arataka, kiloa mia motau, mia ma'raba, willoa mia midabarra harim. Lift not up your horn on high. Altarimu, lamarom karnekem. Speak not insolence with a haughty neck. Tedabru abiz arataka. For neither from the east, ki lo amia motza, nor from the west, uamia ma'rab, nor yet from the wilderness, willo amia midabara, cometh an uprising, harim. When Belshazzar, according to Daniel chapter 5, verse 5, when Belshazzar saw the palm of the hand that wrote, and the king saw the palm, pas, the palm of the hand that wrote, pasa yida dia katava, pasa yida dia katava. He said, I wonder if perhaps a kingdom is in rebellion against me. When Belshazzar saw the palm of the hand that wrote, according to Daniel chapter 5, verse 5, he said, I wonder if perhaps a kingdom is in rebellion against me. And he sent messengers to every single prefecture, but did not find a kingdom in rebellion against him. Hence, here, it is said, for neither from the east, nor from the west, nor yet from the wilderness cometh an uprising. Kilo mi motza'u mi marab, willoa mi midabara harim. Hakadosh Baruchu, the Holy One, blessed be he, said to Belshazzar, thou sentest messengers to all prefectures, but didst thou send one to me? But didst thou send one to I? Yet I am he, Anahu, who shall put thee down, for I am he, Anahu, that puts down, and he that rises up, as is said even in today's psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Hebraically, at the 8th verse. For God is judge. He putteth down one, and riseth and raiseth up another. For God is judge. Elohim is judge. Ki Elohim shofet. He putteth down one. Ze yashpil, and lifteth up another. With ze yarim. Ki Elohim shofet. Ze yashpil. With ze yarim. Rav Berkaya said in the name of Rav Levi, Elohim puts down one kingdom, and raises up another kingdom. When the kingdoms of Media and Persia came up, the kingdom of Babylon went down. And here, Midrash note, Media and Persia. This is Buber's emendation. The ET, the edited text has Greece and Persia. The edited text reads Greece and Persia. Therefore, here, when the kingdoms of Greece and Persia came up, the kingdom of Babylon went down. In a different exposition, the verse is read, this putteth down and this raiseth up. Ze yashpil with ze yarim. This putteth down. Ze yashpil and this raiseth up with ze yarim. And is taken to speak of the children of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the Israelites who, when they lowered themselves to make the so-called golden calf, the molten calf, use this in a tone of contempt, saying, as for this man Moses, according to Shemot, according to Exodus chapter 32, verse 1, Kizeh Moshe Haish Asher, this and this, as for this man Moses, Kizeh Moshe Haish, Zeh Moshe Haish, Kizeh Moshe Haish. So when the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, lower themselves to make the molten calf, here, Midrash, no, literally in the Midrash Tehillim, quote, that deed of theirs, end quote. Thus, when they, the Bnei Yisrael, the Israelites, lowered themselves to make that deed of theirs, use this, Hebraically, in a tone of contempt, saying, as for this man Moses, ki zeh Moshe Haish, but who, when Ha'el, true good, the true God, Elohim commanded, according to Shemot, Exodus chapter 30, verse 13, this they shall give, half a shekel for Yahweh, for Jehovah. This they shall give, half a shekel for he who be who he be. Zeh yitnu, this they shall give. Zeh yitnu, machzita hashekel, machzit hashekel, half a shekel, machzit hashekel, la Yahweh, to Jehovah. They raise themselves by heeding the zeh of the command, the zeh, this, zeh, yitnu, the zeh of the command. Hence, it is said, this putteth down and this raiseth up. Zeh yashpil with zeh yarim. Zeh, this putteth down. Zeh yashpil and zeh, this raiseth up with zeh yarim. A different exposition, he putteth down one and raiseth up another. Zeh yashpil with zeh yarim. This means that Elohim brings one family low and raises another family high. Zeh yashpil with zeh yarim. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup. Here, Mizmor Ayin, hey, Psalm 75, he breaks with 9th verse. For in the hand of Jehovah there is a chalice. For in the hand of Jehovah there is a cup. Kikos biyad Yahuwah. For in the hand of he who be, who he be, biyad Yahuwah, there is a cup. Kikos biyad Yahuwah. Lest the cup, the chalice, the kos, lest the cup be thought empty. The verse goes on to say, and the wine, with yayin, v'yayin, with yayin, and the yayin, and the wine, and the yayin, and the wine, with yayin. Lest the wine, lest the yayin, the wine, the yayin, lest the wine be thought weak. The verse goes on to say, is seizing, Chamar is seizing. That is, the wine is strong and old. Rav Yudan, Rav Chama, and Rav Yitzhak, Isaac taught in the name of Rav Chia that in the Zemana Labo, in the time the I was to come, Hakadosh, the Holy One, Baruch Hu, blessed be He, will say to Pharaoh, drink thy cup, drink thy chalice, and Pharaoh will reply, Ribon Shel HaOlamim, Master of the universe, universal Master, long since I drank my cup in the world. Ha'el, the true good, the true God, Elohim, will then say, what thou drankest in the world was scarcely a drop. As it is said, He caused the same to be poured out drop by drop. He caused the same to be poured out drop by drop. Wayager mizeh, and He pours out the same, or Wayager mizeh, and He causes the same to be poured out drop by drop. But it is also said, surely the dregs thereof, all the wicked, the ratchet of the earth, shall drain them and drink them. Ak shemareha yimtsu yishtu kola risha'e aretz. Surely the dregs thereof, all the Rishai, the ratchet, Rishai Aretz, all the ratchet of the earth shall drain them and drink them. Yimtsu, yishtu. And here, yimtsu. Draining shall drain, yimtsu, they shall drain, yishtu, and drink. Yimtsu, they shall drain, comes from matzah, to drain out, to suck out. To suck it up, to suck it out, by implication, to drain, to squeeze out, to suck. Or in the KJV version, the King James version, reads this verse as shall wring them out and drink them. Shall wring it out and drink it. Yimtsu yishtu, shall drain them, shall suck it out, suck it up, shall suck it out and drink it out. Though thou drankest of the wine, the yayin, thou, the I, didst not drain it, didst not matzah, did not suck it out, as is said, according to Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 9. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. Shachrua velo yayin, na'ua velo shechar. Y'all that are drunken but not with wine, that stagger but not with strong drink. Shakru velo yayin. Y'all that are drunken, shakru, but not with wine. Velo yayin, that stagger, na'u, but not with strong drink. Velo shekar. Here, the fuller verse, here, Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 29, verse 9. Stupefy yourselves and be stupid. Blind yourselves and be blind. Ye y'all that are drunken but not with wine, that stagger but not with strong drink. Hita mahimuhu. Stupefy yourselves. And hita mahimuhu. Hita mahimuhu. Hita mahimuhu. U timahu. And be stupid. U tamahu. U tamahu. And be stupid. Blind yourselves. Hishata'ash. U. And be blind. Wash. U. Y'all that are drunken, shakru, but not with wine, with lo yayid, na'u, that stagger, na'u, but not with strong drink, with lo shekar. Rav Eliezer, Elijah, the son of Rav Hosea HaGali, the Galilean, took the verse in Devarim, in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 34, that reads, is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up in my treasures? Here, Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 34. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up in my treasures? Halohu kamus imadi chatum abe otrotai. Is not this laid up in store with me, in store with I? Hello, who kamus imadi, sealed up, khatum, in my treasuries, be'otrotai. Hello, who kamus imadi, khatuma be'otrotai. Rav Eliezer, the son of Rav Jose the Galilean, took these words to mean that this bitter cup, this bitter chalice, is laid up with Ha'el, the true good, the true God, Almighty, Ha'elohim, for those who reject the law, for those who reject HaTorah, and who will themselves be rejected. And here, Midrash note, Kamus, laid up in store, Hebraically, Kamus, laid up in store, is taken to signify kos, cup, chalice, kos, amus, laid up, liya meusim, for the rejected. So the Midrash Tanaim, page 200. So kamus, found in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 32 at verse 34. Hello, kamus imadi, is not this laid up? Kamus, laid up in store, signifying the kos, the chalice. Amus, laid up. Liya meusim, for the rejected. Kamus, kamusi, li meusi, for the rejected. Ani lechozir, this taking to mean that the bitter cup is laid up with Elohim for those who reject HaTorah, his directions, instructions, the law, and who will themselves be rejected. Li meusim. Rav Ahad taught, from what kind of cup, what kind of chalice will they be made to drink? From a Tiberian cup, a Tiberian chalice, not a cup so roundly shaped that it pours all at once, but one shaped like a pail for swill, wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. A cup like the one referred to in the verse, even the verse from Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 32, that reads, "Thou shalt drink of thy sister's cup, which is deep and wide." Kosa echotech tieshti ha'emuka we'ha'rehava. Thou, speaking to she, shall drink of thy sister's cup. Kosa echotech tieshti, that is deep and large. Ha'emuka we'ha'rehava. Kosa echotech tieshti ha'emuka we'ha'rehava. And here, Midrash note, where Rav Ahad taught that it is a Tiberian cup, not a cup so roundly shaped that it pours all at once, but one shaped like a pail for swill, wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. Here, Midrash note, and narrow at the top. Midrash note, that is a cup that holds a far greater volume of liquid than might at first appear from the size of its mouth. A cup narrow at the top, wide at the bottom, narrow at the top. That is to say, a cup that holds a far greater volume of liquid than might at first appear from the size of its mouth. Therefore, the quote from Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 32, "Thou shalt drink of thy sister's cup, that is deep and wide," speaking to she. Kosa echotech tieshti ha'emuka we'ha'rehava. You find that there are 4 cups of good and 4 cups of evil. The cups of good, for example, Psalm 23, verse 5, "My cup, my chalice runneth over." Psalm 16 and 5, "The Lord is the portion of my cup, of my chalice." And Psalm 116, verse 13, "And I will lift up the cup of deliverances." Deliverances imply 2 such cups, 2 such chalices. These are the 4 cups of good and the 4 cups of consolation that Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that the Holy One, blessed be He, will give the children of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the Israelites, to drink in Hazamana Labo, in the time, in the hour to come. The 4 cups of punishment for Ha-Rasha, for the Rishaim, for the ratchet and the ratchet ones. Jeremiah, according to Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Here, today's Psalm 75, Hebraically the 9th verse. For in the hand of Jehovah there is a cup, and the wine is seething. The dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. Psalm 11 and 6. Burning tempest, this shall be the portion of their cup, of their chalice. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 15, it reads, take this cup of the wine of fury and cause all the nations to drink it. These are the 4 cups of punishment that Ha'el, the true good, the true God, the Almighty I, Ha'elohim, will give the wicked, the ratchet, Risha'im, to drink in Hazman Labo, in the time, the hour to come. And here, Midrash, in this section, reference to the Midrash, the study on Psalm 11, the 5th parek, the 5th section in the Midrash Tehillim 11.5. And here, zooming into the section from the Midrash on Psalm 11, Mizmor Yod Aleph, here in the 5th section, zooming into this portion, bringing out the 4 cups of good, the 4 cups of evil. The portion of their cup from Psalm 11, verse 6. Ha-Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, will give to the Goyei Haaretz, the nations, the nationalities, the Gentiles of the earth, the earthly plane, 4 cups of punishment to drink. Pointing to today's Psalm 75, verse 9, for in the hand of Yahweh, biyad Yahweh, there is a cup, kikos, with foaming wine, the dregs thereof all the wicked, the Rishaya, Aretz, wicked rats of the earth shall drink. Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh and Jehovah's hand that made all the earth drunken. And in Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 15, take this cup of the wine of fury and cause all the nations to drink it. And Psalm 11 and 6, burning tempest, this shall be the portion of their cup. But Ha'el, Ha'elohim, will give the Bnei Yisrael, the Israelites, the sons of Israel, the children of Israel, 4 cups of deliverance, of Yeshua, deliverance, salvation, victory to drink. Psalm 16, verse 5, Yahweh Jehovah is the portion of Kosi, my cup, my chalice. Psalm 23, verse 5, Kosi, my cup, my chalice, runneth over, overfloweth. Psalm 116, verse 13, and I will lift up the cup of deliverances, the deliverances. Some translations bring out, I will lift up the cup of salvation, but Hebraically, it would be salvations, or deliverances, or victories. Kos, Yeshuot, Esa, Kos, the cup, the chalice, Yeshuot, of Yeshua, of salvation, victory, deliverance, ot. The ending makes it plural. Ki, here. Kos, Yeshuot, Esa, Esa, I will lift up. Kos, Yeshuot, Esa, B'Shem Yahweh Ekra, and call upon the name of Jehovah. Here, I will lift up the cup, the kos, the chalice of deliverances, of salvations. This verse, truly, Hebraically, does not say deliverance, but deliverances. This verse, Psalm 116, Hebraically, the 13th verse, does not say salvation in the singular, but the cup, the chalice of salvations. Kos, Yeshuot, Esa, I will lift up. Thus, here, implying 2 cups. Kos, Yeshuot, Esa, Oh, b'shem Yahuwah ekra, 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 ekra.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel? And David my servant shall be king over them. They all shall have one shepherd.
It is good that you are here to record this picture of me in my palace garden at Addis Ababa. People who see this throughout the world will realize that even in the 20th century, with faith, courage, and a just cause, David will still beat Goliath.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Adonai Echad.
And all the horns of the wicked also will I cut off. But the horns of the righteous shall be lifted up. Hear. Today's Psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Hebraically, the 11th verse. We call Karnei Rishaim Gadea Te Romamna Karnota Tzadik. All we call Karnei Rishai, and all the horns of Rishai, of the ratchet also will I cut off. Igadea, we call Karnei Rishai, Igadea. But the horns of the righteous shall be lifted up. Te Romamna shall be lifted up. Karnot, the horns, Tzadik, of the righteous. Te Romamna, Karnota Tzadik. There are 10 horns that Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, lifted up for the Bnei Yisrael, for the sons of Israel, for the Israelites. 1. The horn of Abraham, as is said even in Yeshayahu, Isaiah 5:1. Let me make I sing of my well-beloved, a song of my beloved, touching his vineyard, his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in the horn of the son of oil. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. Asherana lididi, shirata dodia le karmo, karem haya lididi, be karen ben shaman. Let me make I sing of my well-beloved, a song of my beloved, touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. Asherana lididi, shirata dodia le karmo, karem haya lididi, be karen ben shaman. Or this verse here from Yeshayahu, from Isaiah, may also be translated as follows. Let me sing of my well-beloved, a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in the horn, Karem haya lididi, big karen, of the son of oil, of the Ben Shaman. Karem haya lididi, my well-beloved, had a vineyard. Yedidi for Yedidi, Lididi had a vineyard. Karem Haya Lididi. Big Karen in the horn. Big Karen ben Shaman in the horn of the son of oil, or in other translations, in a very fruitful hill, or literally in the Hebrew of it, the Karen, big Karen ben Shaman, literally a horn of the son of fatness, an allusion to the fertility of the Eretz Yisrael. And here, Midrash note, the opening part, let me make I sing of my well-beloved, Ashira na ledidi. Ashira na ledidi. Make I sing. Allow I. Make I. Come on now. Ashira na ledidi. Make I sing of my well-beloved. Here, Midrash note. This is taken as referring to Abraham, who was called Ha-Elohim's beloved, the true good, the true God's beloved. Ashira na ledidi. Ashira na, make I and I sing. And this here is the first of the 10 horns that HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, lifted up for the Bnei Yisrael. The second is the horn of Yitzchak, of Isaac, as is said even in Bereshith in Genesis chapter 22, verse 13. Behold, behind him a ram, caught in the thicket by its horns. Behold, behind him a ram, caught in the thicket by his horns. Wehine ayil achar ne'echaz basavaka bik arnayo. And behold, wehine, behind him a ram. Wehine ayil ram. Wehine ayil achar, behind him ne'echaz, caught basabak in the thicket, basabaka bikarnayo, by his horns, bikarnayo. Wehine ayil achara ne'echaza basabaka bikarnayo. The third horn, the horn of Moshe, the horn of Moses, as is said even in Shemot in Exodus chapter 34, verse 29. The skin of his face sent forth horns. The skin of his face sent forth horns. O Moshe lo yada kia karan or panayo bidabro ito. That Moshe knew not that the skin of his face sent forth beams or sent forth horns while he talked with him. O Moshe lo yada kia karan or panayo bidabro ito. The skin of his face sent forth horns. Kia karan or panayo. To the horn of Moses, of Moshe, the third horn, the skin of his face sent forth horns. Kia karan or panayo. And here, the fourth of the 10 horns, the horn of Shemuel of Samuel in prophecy, as is said even in 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 1. And Hannah prayed and said, my horn is exalted in the Lord. Watita palel Hannah, and Hannah prayed. Watita palel Hannah, Watomar, and said, Rama karni by Yahuwah, my horn is exalted in Jehovah. Rama karni by Yahuwah. Watita palel Hana Watomar. Rama karni by Yahuwah. Here, Midrash, spoken by Hannah at the time, at the birth, spoken by Hannah at the birth of Samuel, who later became 112, Hebraically the 9th verse, Psalm 112, verse 9. His horn shall be exalted in honor. Karno tarum be kavod. His horn, karno, shall be exalted. Tarum, in honor. Be kavod. Be kavod, be kavod, be kavod. Karno tarum be kavod. His horn shall be exalted in honor. And here, Midrash note the word kavod. Kavod, kavod, the word honor or kabod. Some enunciate it as kavod. Kabod, the word, Hebraic word for honor, is applied to the Kohen Gadol, to the high priest garments. Here, confer, refer to Shemot, Exodus chapter 28, verse 2, where the word honor, kabod, is applied to the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, Bigdim, his garments, refer to Exodus chapter 28 and 2. And here, Shemot, Exodus chapter 28, here, the second verse. We asita bigdeya kodesha le ahrona achika le kabod u le tifaret, and thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for splendor and for beauty, for splendor and beauty, for honor and glory, splendor and beauty. Here. Where Asita and I, male, shall make Bigdeya Kodesh, Bigdei Kodesh, holy garments, Le Aharon, for Aaron, Achika, the I brother, Le Kabod, for honor, or Le Tifaret, the Hebrew, Tafari, or Le Tifaret. Where Asita Bigdei Kodesh, Le Aharon, Achika, Le Kabod, or Le Tifaret. That's the fifth horn. Here, the sixth of 10 horns, the horn of the Sanhedrin, the assembly, the great assembly in Torah. Of that is said even in Habakkuk, and Bakom, Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 4, where it reads, he had horns coming forth from his hand. He had horns coming forth from his hand. And here, Habakkuk 3 and 4, the fuller verse right here, and a brightness, coming from the Hebraic translation, and a brightness appeared as the light. Rays hath he at his side, or horns had he at his sides, and there is the hiding of his power. And here, the King James Version, KJV, Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 4, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Winoga kaor tihye karnaima miyado lau with shama chabyon ozo. Here, KJV translation, and his brightness was as the light. Vinoga kaashar tihye, with noga kaashar tihye. He had horns coming out of his hand. Karnaim, horns, karnaim, miyado, from his hand, miyado, lau, karnaim, miyado, lau, horns from his hand for him, or some translate rays hath he at his side. Rays hath he at his side. Karnaim miyado, mi from yado, his hand, his yad, miyado lau, for him, with sham, and theya, with sham, chabyon uzo, and theya chabyon, the hiding, chabyon uzo, of his power, and there was the hiding of uzo, his power. With nogaha kaashar tihye, Karnaim Miyado Lau with Sham Chebion Uzo. And here, Midrash notes in that chapter of Habakkuk, of Imbakom of Habakkuk, Ha'el, the true good, the true God, Ha'elohim, is described as revealing himself. In that chapter in Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 4, Ha'elohim, the true good, the true God, is described as revealing himself. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand. And there was the hiding of his power. Ha'el, Elohim, Hayel is described as revealing himself. And that the sixth of the 10 horns, the seventh, the horn of Haman in the Levitical office, as is said even in First Chronicles chapter 25, verse 5, where it reads, all these were the sons of Haman to lift up the horn. All these. Kol eile banima lehemana Jose hameleka be dibrei haElohima leharima karen. Waya yitena haElohima lehemana banima arib'a asara u banota shalosh. Full of verse, here. All these were the sons of Haman, the king's seer. In the words of Ha-Elohim, the true good, the true God, to lift up the horn. And Ha-Elohim, the true good, the true God, gave to Haman 14 sons and 3 daughters. Kol all these were the sons of Haman. Kol eile banima leHaman, Jose hameleka b'dibreya Ha-Elohima leharima karen, to lift up the horn, leharim karen. And here, Midrash note, these were identified as Halloween, as Levites, as Lewim, as Levites, as Lewawian. All these, Kol eile banima leHaman, all these, the sons of Haman, Jose, Hamelech, the king's seer, B'divrei Ha-Elohim, by the words of the true good, the true God, leharim karen, to lift up the horn. Here, the seventh of the 10 horns, and the 8th of the 10 horns, the horn of Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem, at the building of Ha-Hekal, at the building of the temple, as is said even in Psalm 22, verse 22, where it reads, thou hast heard me from the horns of the rain. Thou, the eye, has heard I from the horns of the rain. And here, this verse also is translated in other versions, like the King James Version, Psalm 22, at the 21st verse, save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me. Thou hast heard I from the horns of the unicorn. Thou hast heard I from the horns of the rain, Hebraically. Ua mi karneya remima nitani, yea, from the horns of the wild oxen, do thou, the eye, answer me, answer I. Ua mia karneya remim nitani, does the eye answer to I? So the rain, the wild oxen, Reimim. Here for more on the rain, wild oxen, Reimim. Here in Psalm 22, Hebraically 22nd verse, KJV translates as horns of the unicorn. For more on this right here, see the Midrash Tehillim 22.28, 22, the 28th section. So here, for the 8th of the 10 horns. The 9th horn is the horn of the King, Messiah, Moshiach HaMelech, Melech HaMoshiach, in kingship, as is said even in 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 10. The Lord will exalt the horn of his anointed. The Lord will exalt the horn of Meshicho, of his Moshiach. We Yareim Karen Meshicho, and exalt the horn of his anointed. We Yareim Karen Meshicho, and exalt. We Yareim, the horn Karen of his anointed, his Messiah, Meshicho. We Yareim Karen Meshicho. The 9th, the horn of Moshiach HaMelech, the King Messiah in kingship. And here, the 10th of the 10 horns, the horn of David, the horn of David, the horn of David, in the light of the Yom Labo, the day to come, as is said even in Psalm 132, Hebraically the 17th verse, Psalm 132, verse 17, where it reads, "There will I make the horn of David to bud. There will I make the horn of David to bud. Sham atmiyach karena le David. There, Sham, will I make a horn to shoot up, to bud, to shoot up to David. Sham atmiyach karen le David. There will I make a horn to shoot up to David, or there will I make a horn to David to bud. Sham atzmiyach karen le David." But when the Bnei Yisrael, when the children of Israel, the sons of Israel, the Israelites sinned, up, the horns were taken from them and given to the Goyei Haaretz, to the nations and nationalities of the earth, of the earthly plane, as is said even in Daniel chapter 7, verse 7, where it reads, "Behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and it had 10 horns. Behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and it had 10 horns. Wairua chera revi'aya de chila we ematani we karanayin asar laha, and behold, waru, a fourth beast, chaywa, waru, chaywa, revi'aya, dreadful and terrible, de chila we ematani, and it had 10 horns, we karnayin asar laha, we karnayin asar lah." Daniel 7:7, Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. This verse proves that the heathen nations, the nations of the world, are symbolized by the beast described in Daniel, and that as long as the horns of the wicked, of the ratchet endure, the horns of Yisrael, of Israel, remain cut off, as is said even in Lamentations chapter 2, verse 3. "He hath cut off in fierce anger all the horn of Yisrael." He hath cut off in fierce anger all the horn of Yisrael. Gada'a bachori af kol karen Yisrael. He hath cut off in fierce anger. Gada'a bachori af, all the horn of Yisrael. Kol karen Yisrael. Gada'a bachori af, kol karen Yisrael. But the verse further proves that when Elohim lifts up the horn of Tzaddik, of the Tzaddikim, of the righteous ones, he will also cut off the horns of Harasha, of Harishaim, the ratchet ones, as is said even here in today's Psalm, Mizmor Ein Hey, Psalm 75, Hebraically at the 11th verse, that reads, all the horns of the wicked, of the ratchet, with call Karnei Rishaim, will I cut off. Igadea. We call la Karnei Rishaim Igadea. Then the horns of the righteous one shall be lifted up. Then the horns of the righteous one shall be lifted up. Te romamna karnot tzadik. That is the horns of Yisrael, that the righteous one of the universe, the universal righteous one, Tzadik Hayikum, the righteous one of the universe, had cut off. Then the horns of the righteous one, Tzadik, even Tzadika Hayikum, Te Romamna, Karnota Tzadika. Then the horns of the righteous one shall be lifted up, that is to say, the horns of Yisrael, that Tzadika Hayikum, the righteous one of the universe, had cut off. Teromamna Karnota Tzadika. The horns of the righteous shall be lifted up.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.